and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into these guys and make yourself better.
Welcome to the 99% Radio Network with Sideshow 12 and Mongo. We are broadcasting you live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios here in Arlington, Texas, the heart of Globe Life Park and the Entertainment District. We just lost our fan. All right. Man, today we have a great show. We are back in the blue because nobody else will. None of our politicians, none of our communities. Man, we got to stand by our law enforcement, man. Welcome, Mongo. How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine. 12 is having difficulty.
He's fixing the fan. Yeah, that fan fell. A little hot. Man, we've had a tough week. We're back on lockdown here in Texas. Things have been getting a little out of control. We can't decide what we want to do. We don't know if we are in a pandemic, we're out of pandemic. We got to wear masks. We can't wear masks. We got to open up. We got to close down. What's the deal? There's so many things going on in the news, just mixing up the whole nation. We got conspiracy theories flying. We got politicians that just don't know how to handle this, and they're confusing everybody. We got business owners that are screaming because we opened them, we closed them, we closed bars on a Friday night. Governor Abbott, man, we back you 100%, but how can you do that? Close bars on a Friday night after everything was ordered, after, they had all their entertainment, everything's scheduled, then you just close them at 12 o'clock. You couldn't do this on a Monday and give the bars and restaurants at least another weekend. It wouldn't have really mattered, man. You close these guys down. I feel so bad for these bar owners. They are fighting a losing uphill battle, man, and a lot of them are not going to be able to recover from this.
Do you know what the lesson here is, though?
That
we should learn? That the COVID is very smart. Because, as Mongo and I noted when we were coming in today, it knows if you're in a crowd larger than 100 or not. Because right across the street over here, folks were asshole to belly button at the water park, and I'm guessing none of them were wearing masks. They were all playing in the water.
Yeah, it depends on the agenda, I guess.
Yeah.
COVID doesn't live in water, I guess, right?
Apparently not.
Or the slide line.
But they closed the beach.
I hope it doesn't live in women's panties because I'm wearing those for a mask next week.
Yeah, it's now if you travel to New York from Texas or from Florida, then you're on a 14-day lockdown for quarantine. But say you go there on business, what do you got to stay in a hotel room now for 14 days? Or no one's giving an answer. They're just scribbling this stuff down on paper and expect everybody to comply. But they have no solutions on what people are supposed to do during this.
I'll let you know next month because I'm going to Florida next month for 4 days, and I'll let you know what I have to do.
Yeah, but Florida doesn't have the lockdown.
No, but I'm coming from Texas.
Yeah, but
I thought Florida closed down if you're coming from Texas or California or New York.
Oh, I thought only New York did that.
No, I'm pretty sure Florida did too. But
yeah, Florida, New York, California, and Texas were the big four to lock it down.
Just lock it down 14 days.
Yep.
So I mean, how are they gonna check you, what are they going to put a tracking device on you when you get off the plane or when you drive in? I mean, this is just ludicrous, making up these rules just to say we're doing something. You're just pissing everybody off, getting everybody confused, and putting fear of God into all these people.
That's because Dr. Fauci gave a bunch of bogus numbers yesterday, and everybody's shitting themselves over it.
You know,
it's really ridiculous.
You got to think about this too, man. I mean, we got the COVID, right? Since what, February, end of February, beginning of March. Everybody's been in lockdown. Everybody's been on layoff, right? And then all of a sudden, now we have, the incident with George Floyd, and now we have mass rioting and protesting going across the nation, and dismantle our law enforcement, right? And no one has a game plan on what the hell they're going to do if they do dismantle all our law enforcement, right? They said they're going to bring in social workers and all these therapy dogs to calm everybody down and give everybody friggin' hot chocolate, right? But no one has a game plan on how we're going to do this, right? Meanwhile, you're killing morale. You're killing morale for the 99% of law enforcement across the country. You're stressing out their families by showing what they have to go through on the news every single day, right? Our first responders are the main ones that are suffering. They were heroes during the COVID, and now this, right? There's got to be an end game to this. You think about conspiracy theories about the dark state, the deep state, and everything else, with these politicians. How have we lost our common sense that we are going to let anarchists take over our cities, destroy our monuments, destroy personal property, light things on fire, and then we're going to handcuff our police and say, no, you can't do anything?
Well, fortunately, COVID will go away November 3rd. I don't know about the rioting and the monument and statue tearing down, but we'll get one problem taken care of in a few months.
Okay, you want to take a statue down, you think it's, because of past history or whatever, go through the proper channels. We have lawyers that are throwing Molotov cocktails into police vehicles. We have professors in our colleges teaching our children how to take down monuments, how to destroy monuments. We're teaching our kids. These professors in these colleges are teaching and brainwashing our children how to become anarchists, how to display civil disobedience and destroy property in our nation. Professors. People that are supposed to educate our children are wasting their friggin' time by telling people how to take down a friggin' monument, how to destroy parts of history, right?
Or you have elected officials like in Seattle that are avowed socialists that lead protesters to the home of other elected officials with whom they might not necessarily agree with, who lead people or let protesters into City Hall, the people's house of
right.
that community there in Seattle, and it's time to fight back.
Well, you think about the hypocrisy here. You really got to think about the hypocrisy. The mayor, right, and the city council of Seattle, right? They didn't give a shit about anybody's personal safety. They didn't care about any of the law-abiding citizens in Seattle, right? Until the mayor's house got tagged. As soon as her house got tagged, then she threw a little hissy fit, and now she's dismantling everything. Oh, because it happened to me. Just like all the celebrities and all the rich folks over in California, right? As long as it wasn't happening in their backyard, they didn't give a shit about what was going on in America, right? But as soon as those anarchists started entering the restaurants where they're eating their caviar and their $1,000 plate dinners, right, and disrupting their mealtime, right, and their yoga sessions, then it matters. Then it matters because it's in your backyard. Well, what about our backyard?
Yep.
What about the law-abiding citizens across the nation's backyard? You know what's funny is you talk about hypocrisy. And you have to laugh. It was such a serious situation there in St. Louis when you have the attorney who
the peaceful protest, broke down his gate, went on a private road. They have the Castle Doctrine in Missouri, by the way.
Right.
And marched up to his house and allegedly threatened them. And this dude's a pro. He's a Democrat through and through, attorney. He's currently suing the police department for police brutality.
What he's
an attorney representing a client that's suing them for police brutality. And the first thing he did was call 911 when all these peaceful protesters showed up on his doorstep, and then he busts out the AR, and his wife bust out the her pistol, which was hilarious. Now I support their Second Amendment right, and I support their right to do that.
Right.
It's just hypocrisy because they're the same people. It's in the closet, right? They don't want to talk about it.
Right.
What a bunch of
see. As long as it's not coming through their gated community, they don't care. Right. As long as they can watch it on TV like it's a third world country and still their bank account keeps growing, they don't care. But once you bust through their gates, then they're pulling out their ARs that they're so against, and they're pulling out their little pea shoes, whatever she was carrying, with her hand on her hip, And here's what I got to say. You know what? I agree with you. I agree to protect the rights of your Second Amendment, and you have the right to bear arms, okay? But those two were the most irresponsible gun owners I have ever seen. You're pointing an AK and you're pointing a pistol at a crowd that hasn't even breached your property. They're walking down the street, right? They haven't really threatened you. And you're pointing those guns out like they were water pistols.
I thought they came through the gate.
They did. They came through the gate. They were in their front yard. They were actually in their yard.
That's a whole gated community. That's a gate that goes into a whole community.
No, but they were coming up their driveway.
Yeah, they came up their driveway, and they were interviewed, and they said in a statement this morning on the news.
My bad.
They said they felt like if they hadn't been there, and armed, that the protesters would have entered their house and trashed it. And I guess it's a mansion. It's clearly a mansion.
Yeah, no, I thought it was that gate was going into a community. I didn't know that gate was going onto their personal property.
It was their personal.
I thought it was going into a community of more of those mansions. But still, you know what? Gun owners, okay? People do have the right to protest. It was wrong for them to break into that thing, okay? But you know what? Get some trigger control. Take some training on a gun before you start pointing at individuals.
Well, since the cops didn't respond, I guess they're thanking God that they had a means by which to defend their property.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. Defend yourself. But please, get the proper training on, one, how to hold a pistol. Your hand on your hip like a little friggin' teacup. Like you were singing, I'm a little teacup with your finger on the trigger is not prop. Get your proper training. Learn discipline, and there's a way, instead of holding like you're a mom scolding a whole bunch of kids that just came over. You can't do that.
Yeah, she had that thing buried up to the knuckle for sure.
Yeah,
that's the way they did it back in the 1700s. Looked pretty cool, very formal.
I just would like people with have proper training, on the gun, and you know what? Coming out with an AR and your Dockers and your $300 polo sweater, man, that really made a statement, But you know what? Not in my backyard. Not in my backyard. Hypocrisy, man. Now, today, I saw New York. Now they're taking down the occupation on the city hall, right? Because now the mayor says now it's no good. Now you got to get off my lawn. Get off my lawn, right? I already defunded the PD $1 billion. I don't know, man. It's crazy times. I don't know what the end game is, but I do know one thing: we are losing officers. We're losing the lives of officers throughout our country, and you know it. And you said it to me the other day, today actually. Sergeant Greg Johnson of the Tulsa Police Department, man, just doing his job, making a car stop for a registration. Him and his partner. Guy kills him, shoots both of them. Yeah. Takes a dad away from his family, takes a dad away from his kids, right, over a registration.
That's a great segue into where we're wanting to go over the next couple of weeks, and that is that the 99% Radio Network and the people that listen to us, watch us on Facebook Live and whatnot, we're going to make an emphatic statement that we back the blue. Wherever we are, wherever the 99%, whether you're an LE club, an PS club, a riding club, a military club, or just an independent guy that likes to hang out with other like-minded bikers, we back the blue. And that's why we've undertaken this effort to reach out to all the people that do pay attention to the show that belong to different clubs, and we're asking them to shoot us a 30-second video that basically says who they are, where they are, their position within the club, be it member, president, sergeant at arms, whatever it is, and with an emphatic statement, back the blue. And so I'm throwing that out there to all the folks that are listening right now. If you'll do that for us and send it to me, or you can message it, you can send it to my phone, however you want to do it, and then we'll put it together in a public service announcement here within the next 2 weeks, and we'll get it out everywhere.
Yeah.
For our friends, have communicated to our friends over in Europe. I communicated with Ireland, England, and Italy, or Rome, Italy today, and asked them to do the same. If you have problems with English, you can do it in your native tongue. We got one back from Busey Bart in Belgium, and he did a great job. His was the very first one that we received. So put them together. We'll take as many as we can get, and then put them out there. And then next week, the 8th at the show, we want to invite all our North Texas DFW area clubs.
Let me just stop you right there for a second.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go one step further. We're going to invite all the North Texas clubs, but we're going to invite everybody. Everybody who's listening to the show right now. Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
It's a big parking lot.
That's it, man. Everybody. You back the blue, we want you here. We want you here.
So what you're saying is we should just have like an impromptu back the blue rally
Hell
out
yeah.
in the parking lot. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So, well, then the plan was originally to get as many of the North Texas clubs down here as we could. We could stick them out there, a lot more people in the parking lot. We could bring a few of them up here, put them on the air, let them tell about themselves real quick, their club and stuff, and that they back the blue. And we'll film all this stuff. And
we'll have the cameras outside. We'll have the cameras outside in the parking lot.
Edit it up.
Support Arlington PD. Support our blue. Back our blue across our nation. If protesters can go out and ruin things, we could show solidarity in our fight for our officers across the nation.
Yep. Okay, so there you go. The invitation is open. We're on the air from 3 to 6. Show up. We usually get here about 2 o'clock. Show up in the parking lot. Our address is 1000 Ballpark Way in Arlington, Texas. We park in parking lot B between Globe Life and the new stadium over there. If you're so inclined, you want to back the blue, I guess Sideshow's throwing an impromptu back the blue rally. We'll just get together in numbers. We'll walk around and we'll take some statements from folks. We'll do some interviews, and then with your permission, we'll use them all for a PSA going down the road that we're going to put there. Because I'll tell you, yesterday when I got the news about Sergeant Johnson up there in Tulsa, it triggered such anger and rage inside of me that, 2 cops, family men, one was a rookie and then the sergeant, would get killed over registration.
And I think the rookie's still fighting for his life,
He's
right?
still fighting for his life. But
But
I heard some commentary on it, and I don't know if it's true or not because I don't know what was going through their head. But as a cop myself, it makes sense. And someone opined that what was going through their head was recent events, like Atlanta. I don't want to be the next Atlanta. And they were talking about how they had deployed the taser, and it was ineffective, that their taser actually was, once again, taken away from them. Right. Now, I don't know that that's true, but that was what was said on the news this morning. And
in Tulsa, you mean?
In Tulsa, yes, on that traffic stop. The guy refused. They said he refused to come out of the car, and they said they were going to tow it, and he wouldn't vacate the car, so it ended up to the point they were unable to talk him out. So taser was deployed, and it went bad from there. He pulled the gun out from underneath the seat and apparently then shot them.
Well, This is happening nationwide.
It is. It pisses me off. I'm ready to let's fight back.
This is pissing a lot of the law-abiding citizens across our nation who back our law enforcement and our first responders. Our EMS, our fire department trucks are being trashed. They're being blocked from trying to do the right thing to try to save lives, right? And now a police officer can't even do his job at all without being ridiculed, screamed at, or a crowd commencing on him. Right here in Longview, Texas, they made a normal traffic stop in a neighborhood, a normal traffic stop, right? And a crowd had just swarmed the cops, swarmed the police officers. They had a call for a simple traffic stop. You know, one, it's getting out of hand because our politicians are not allowing our officers to do what they are trained to do, and that's enforce the law. We have over, I think, and I'm not going to quote the number, but we have over 4 million interactions, public interactions. The PD has over 4 million interactions with the public per year, right? We have 700,000 sworn police officers. Less than 1% of those interactions go bad, where someone's killed, where someone's or abuse of force is used. And you know what? We don't back any blue that uses abuse of force. We don't we don't do that. Okay? Call those people out. But you know what? 99% of our law enforcement out there are good people, respectful cops trying to do the right thing for their community. And to have them treated like this is appalling. To have our public, have our law-abiding citizens to stand there and just watch this from the sidelines as our cities are burned down and vandalized and torn apart is not right.
And seeing police officers sneak attacked and stuff. Your partner in crime and a former co-worker of mine, Jeff Freeman, I've had several conversations about the necessity to train for close quarter combat with these knuckleheads. Mongo used to to teach that stuff, and I think that if you're a cop coming into the field today and you look around at what's going on, if that doesn't motivate you to train for battle on a daily basis, then you probably shouldn't be in law enforcement. Maybe you should find yourself another career path, because people are going to be emboldened. Bad guys are going to be emboldened by this, and but again, I can say it now, and I really don't give a shit whether people like it or not. It's time to go back to the head knocking ways. You knock the head of a few. I'm not talking about excessive force or misconduct. I'm talking about when you get in them situations where the use of force is justified. Knock the snot out of them, and that'll get their attention, and they won't do it again. Be prepared to take the fight to the bad guys.
I agree with that, but you know what? If when back in the day, if you told someone to move, they moved. If you told somebody to stop, cease and desist from what you're doing, they didn't like it, but they did it.
Yeah, there was respect.
There was respect. Okay, it never came down to doing that. But now everybody seems. Even for a traffic ticket, I'm going to defy that order. I'm going to bring this to the next level.
I'm going to
challenge it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to challenge it. So what you're doing, and I'm going to tell you, you get pulled over and you challenge any cop out there because he's just pulling you over for a traffic ticket. Take the friggin' ticket and go fight it in court. You want to escalate this. This is you. The cop doesn't want to escalate this. You, by defying an order, by refusing to open up your window, refusing to give this, refusing to give that, right? That just raises the suspicion of every officer out there. Now you're putting him into a life-threatening situation where now he fears for his life, his guard is up, and you're making the situation much, much worse.
Yep. Mongo,
no cop wants to do that.
No, I agree. The problem that law enforcement has all along is a lot of people haven't taken this seriously. There's been a group of law enforcement that they train, they stay in shape, they stay healthy. The bad guys, and we're talking about the 1% bad guys, because people make mistakes, but the people that make the mistakes on purpose go to prison. They're training every day. They're training for that day they get back out and they can confront you again. A lot of these law enforcement officers aren't ready for that. They're very complacent in their, hey, I've got a nice job, I've got a good retirement, got good medical benefits. This is cool. Drive this car, got lights and sirens. It's not like that. These you have to be prepared for battle every day. Every stop you make, every contact you make, probably nothing's going to happen, but you have to be ready for that one time that it does happen.
Wasn't it you that said a couple of weeks ago you were talking about a particular work schedule there at I believe it was at Burbank, where many of the cops that came in, they worked there 3 days a week so they could go and do their real job.
Absolutely. We had several people that had their real jobs on the outside. They worked their 3 days, 3 12-hour shifts. Hopefully they didn't get stuck doing court. They got medical benefits because their job didn't have medical benefits, and then they went to their real job and worked 4 days and made money doing their real job. I guess some people had to do that, but you've got to commit. You got to be all in.
You know, the job of any police officer out there is to uphold the law. 100%.
To be fair, to be honest.
To be fair, to be honest.
Objective.
Right. They don't write the laws. They do not. I'll tell you, there's cops out there that a lot of them don't agree with the laws that are written.
Yeah.
Right? But they have to enforce them because they're told to by the political leaders. They're told to by their captains and their senators and everybody else who made these laws. So they're just out there enforcing them. It's gotten to a point where cops are now retiring in droves, right? New York, they just canceled the July academy class, right? And they're looking to cancel more classes after that. They're looking to bring the city's 36,000 through attrition down to 34,000. And they expect them to do the same job. They can't. There's no way you can protect a city as large as New York with the crime rate spiking at levels we haven't seen since the 1970s and think that 34,000 police officers are going to be able to do this on a daily basis. It's not going to happen. We are headed to a downfall in our nation where crime is going to start becoming so rampant that Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, beware, because it's coming to your neighborhood. Well, nobody's going to be immune from this. They just cut out $647 million from the California state budget. What do you think is going to happen?
Anarchy.
No training, no tactics, no nothing for these cops?
Well, I have to agree that a lot of the calls that cops go on now, they probably shouldn't have to go on, but just because the way things have changed, they have to. The check the well-being calls, the mental problem calls, they're trained for that, because when you have that, let's just say 260-pound guy that's got the mental capacity of a large dog, that you realize, okay, this guy actually has to go to the hospital. Once you've made that decision, he has to go. He's not going to be happy about it, but we make him go. It happens. The social worker is going to get hurt.
Right.
If they can make the decision, you have to go get some help, that social worker is going to get hurt, because that 260-pound big dog is going to turn on that social worker who's got no weapons,
right?
Got no maybe backup. Maybe there are 3 or 4 social workers. You're going to have 3 or 4 social workers hurt very badly.
Well, and that's the big thing too. When you hit a great point, Mongo, is we want to defund the police departments and give all these other we want to take the resource officers out of school and put it into the teachers' hands. We want to put social workers in charge of the homeless and domestic violence and all this other stuff, right? How many times have you gone to a domestic violent call and shit goes bad real quick?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, they're dangerous.
So what are they going to do? Are those social workers now going to call for backup, call the cops? So now you're throwing good money away. It's like you're defeating the point. New York, with their $1 million budget cut, has cut the Special Victims Unit, which handles rapes, right? The cyber crimes, which handles pedophilia, child pornography, the gang unit, right? And a multitude of others. What are we doing? You're not going to have people in blue vests going out there saying, "Hey, please respect the blue, respect the red. You know, the Crips and the Bloods can come together and sing Kumbaya." That's not going to happen.
Sideshow, those are just the big crime calls.
Yeah.
What about the small stuff? You drop your kid off for school in the morning, and everybody else is doing the same thing. So everybody's going to double park. Then you get the one guy going, "You know what? Too much traffic. I need to get through," and he's just going to go flying through at 50 miles an hour. There's no traffic enforcement now.
Right.
No police, no traffic enforcement. So
no accountability.
From the very, very minor stuff that the police does that people don't realize, we're keeping order in society all the way through the major crimes. It's going to be crazy.
And what happens the first time there's a school shooter, and now we have no more SROs in some of the schools around some of these places that have been defunded? It's going to be a shit show.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I mean, I don't think the politicians followed this through. I think they all are on one specific agenda, and we'll get into that later on in the Mongo log.
So I think that just kind of makes our point, and we can kind of put it on hold, because I know we're going to be talking about this more, because it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
But I think that's why, and we said it last week for the first time here on the 99% Radio Network. If you have that LE cube on the back of your vest, or you have the PS indicating that you have first responders in your club, or use and you publicly state that we back the blue, we support LE. As long as you're not an active duty member, which would get you in some trouble, I think it's incumbent upon the rest of us that are retired, law enforcement and/or military, to stand up and take a stand. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We're going to say, and we're saying, we back the blue, period. If we're out there and we see a law enforcement officer, fireman, first responder, who's in a situation that he doesn't have backup or whatever, you can bet your ass if I see it, I'm stopping and helping him out. And I think we should all let Mongo kind of pointed somehow, it's kind of funny that you've seen all these things on Facebook, right? And everybody's saying, "Hi, I'm Bill from Garland, and I back the blue, and if you need a place to come and park for a few minutes, you can come to my house and write your report or decompress for a few minutes. If you're hungry, I'll feed you, and if you're thirsty, I'll give you something to drink." And I think those are great. I love those shows of support, but nobody ever puts their address.
No.
Okay? They don't want to put their address.
Of course not.
Yeah. Okay, but
I mean, it's a nice gesture.
Yeah,
it really is a nice gesture.
But unless you have something behind it, like your address where they know to come there, like a blue light on your porch, or when I was a kid, they used to have the block parent sign.
Yeah, you opened up a whole nother can of worms, bro.
Some kind of something behind it. It's nice. It's a nice gesture, but it doesn't have any meaning. We need to be prepared.
Right.
If we're stating we stand for this, then we should be prepared to back it up.
Yep.
Okay. And that's that. I mean, I'm prepared. He's prepared. I know you're prepared. So let's lead that charge, and all of us, LE and PS and 99% clubs that respect law enforcement, that have their back, let's take a stand and let them know. But if you need it, we're ready. If we need to get our hands dirty and help you in one of those obviously very bad situations, if you come across them, we're there to help. We're going to help you. We have your back.
Right.
Not just figuratively, not just in a nice gesture, but in a real meaningful way.
100%.
100%.
Now, what you just said about the little blue light in the window, right? Have you seen on the social networks, and it's been happening all over the country, the blue line flag, like the one that's flying behind me, right?
Yes.
This goes out to every HOA out there. You tell a law enforcement officer who owns a house in your HOA that this flag has to come down. You know what? I can't even say it on the radio what should happen.
Are we allowed to say that on the radio? Can we say that?
You could say that on the radio.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I've seen law enforcement officers being told to take down their blue line flag because it doesn't fit to the code of ethics in their HOA. But it has prior to February. So all these yuppie degenerates are jumping on this agenda, politician bandwagon, saying you can't put that on your but you can put a Black Lives Matter flag on up and no one's going to bother you, right?
Well, if you have to take your flag down, you should get your car wrapped at a wrap location.
Someone did that. Someone wrapped their boat. Someone wrapped their boat in it.
Park that right in front.
It's crazy.
Man, it is nuts. And we're going to get back to this, but you know what? Our guest is sitting here so patiently because I know he wants to talk. I want to welcome you, Mad Dog Mike with Mirodot helmets, right?
That's great.
How are you, brother?
Man, I am
right into the mic, Mike.
Fantastic. Glad to be here and talk about this sensitive subject. I mean, who's got your back?
We have their back.
It doesn't. I mean, as a law enforcement officer, I mean, it doesn't seem the mayor has your back. It doesn't seem like even the administration in your city has your back. So it's incumbent to the citizens.
It's a scary thing
to have you six, and it's just all those people that are going to be affected the most are the ones who are trying to get rid of the cops. I heard that New York City itself just took $1 billion.
Yeah,
just the city itself took $1 billion. How's that going to affect people's lives? And it's going to be the people who need those cops.
Right,
is a community that's.
And we haven't even hit summer yet, and summer is like the highest crime wave throughout. And they got burglaries up 407%. They got shootings up over 75%. Chicago, I don't even know how high they are, but they just have 3 children shot in Chicago. Matt, you're an owner of a company.
I am.
Right? Now, let's say that you didn't back your employees, right? You didn't.
I wouldn't have any employees.
You wouldn't have any employees, right? You wouldn't have anybody. You got to keep morale up. It's your job as a boss, as a CEO, as the leader of your company to keep morale up, to make sure everybody's happy, right? To make sure that, nothing's being held against your brand, right? But
right.
you want to make sure everybody's happy. If not, you're going to have people walking out the door in droves. You're going to have people not really wanting to sell your brand, right? Because they're not going to believe in it, they're not going to believe in you, and they're just going to be there for a paycheck.
Right.
Or they're going to walk out and go someplace else. That's what's happening with law enforcement throughout the city. Our mayor, our higher chiefs have not backed up our commissioners have not backed up our police. So when you're not getting that backing as an employee, when you're being thrown under the bus for every little thing you do, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get what you wished for. You're going to have no cops out on the street. You're going to get crime going through the roof, and you are going to be a sinking ship.
Well, loyalty is a two-way street. It's got to go both ways. It's like saying, get respect, give respect.
Right.
So without it, you have nothing.
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions for you to lead off. So, tell me how you got the nickname or the road name Mad Dog.
Well, I earned that, and we won't go into details.
Okay.
Let's just say that apropos.
Okay. So, what kind of business do you have?
Well, I've got a couple businesses.
Why don't you tell us about them?
Started out with Scoot Dog, motorcycle leather and gear. And
Mongo's into leather.
Yeah. And
he likes some assless chaps.
A second business morphed out of that. I was a used bike dealer, so until I found out there was too much work involved. So I checked that off the bucket list and got into helmets. And now I own Mirodot Helmet Company. Which is one
now,
of the
did you design these helmets?
Did not design them. No,
okay.
I mean, I've had, when you have these manufactured, they pretty much have basic styles, and you can have it made to your specifications. And so I have certain specifications on mine that make mine different than some of the other ones that are out there.
What's different about yours?
Well, the straps are a little different. They're softer. They've got a quick release. And with all the attributes that these helmets have, the quick release is the one that gets the most praise.
I tell you, that quick release is great because I know with Tigger, she's fumbling with her fingers trying to get that shit around her, and I'm always putting it on for her. She hates it. She hates it. That quick release is great.
I've got no feeling in my hands. The quick release is a godsend for me.
Right.
I keep mine fastened to put it on, but to take it off, I just pull that little tab. It comes right off. If I had to manipulate, I'd be having somebody dress me every day. I put my helmet on.
Yeah, that fishing that strap through those two rings, man, can really be a pain in the ass. Quick release is probably the best way to go.
What makes my helmet's different than some of the other ones? I try to take the best aspects out of the other competitors that I have. The lining, is different. The what's called the belt line, that's that rubber piece that goes around the bottom of the helmet to cover the sharp edges. I put a seam cover on mine. It gives it appearance, a better appearance of quality, a nicer, softer strap. And so there's things about my helmets that are different that I've tried to take the aspects, the good aspects of some of my competitors that are out there. Now my name, the Mirodot Helmet Company. I mean, we're old enough to probably remember how I came up with Mirodot. Anyway,
there you go.
And I'm told I had a pretty good time during the '70s. But these helmets, that name has kind of been co-opted in the industry to describe the helmet. So you can hear other companies now talking about their Mirodot helmets. Doesn't mean it's my brand name. I mean, I trademarked the brand name Mirodot, but they try to use that as it's because it's a great descriptor of the type of helmet. They weigh less than a bottle of water. I mean, they're lightweight. They're easy on, easy off with the quick release. They're easy on your neck. I've had 3 neck surgeries, and I can't wear a standard DOT helmet more than about an hour. Man, my shoulder.
We've all been there. We all know it.
So it's getting old, but I guess it beats the alternative.
So no more Gazoo helmet or mushroom head.
The big old mushroom head looks, and I'll call them spaceball look. But they're nice contoured to your head. They're just a good looking helmet.
Well, that's another thing. You say it's contoured to you. Now you say that they're fit to the person who buys the helmet, correct?
The 2 styles I have is what I call the twister and the blister. All right, the twister, I call it that because it's been designed to wear it both directions. It's like a polo riding style helmet.
Okay.
Traditionally, it's worn with the brim in the front, and what I did was design the strap so. On the other older models, if you put the brim in the back, the strap would be, the rear anchor point of the strap would be in your field of vision. And so what we did was centered that so you can wear it in either direction with exact comfort. And it's my best-selling helmet. Have you seen the TV show The Mayans?
Yeah.
Well, Easy and some of those other characters wear this style helmet in the reverse position. That's one reason why it's my best-selling helmet. And it's just a style that it's a traditional style, but when you wear it backwards, guys don't really know that's the style that it is. It just gives you a good look. Now, there's been some misconceptions of what a low-profile helmet is. These helmets, if you were to put a finger on the inside of the helmet and then the other one on the opposing finger on the outside, on our helmets, they're about 1 inch thick. And a standard DOT helmet's about 2 1/4 to 2 1/2. So when you put these 2 helmets on the table, one's considerably, it's about 40% size of what a standard DOT helmet is, so it's considerably smaller and lower. Now, the 2 extra small shell, the exact same shell size as a 2 extra large, which means when you take a guy with a big head like mine, 2 extra large, that helmet on me is going to look smaller, more contoured than, say, a lady with a 2 extra small, because it's the same size shell. So she's putting a smaller head in that helmet, so it's going to give a bigger, larger appearance on a smaller person. But the idea is when you put that helmet next to a standard DOT helmet, it being about 40% of the size, it's unmistakably that's a lot smaller helmet.
Yeah.
It just looks more of a bigger helmet on a small person than it does a big person. So.
Yeah. So now. You're located. Where's your shop?
We're in Mansfield. Right across the street from a place called Fat Daddy's. A lot of people in that part of the town know who Fat Daddy's is. Yeah, it's a sports bar, grill, live music venue, just directly across the street.
Now, your leather company, right?
That's Scoot Dog is now leather gear. We've got our own name brand leather and chaps and vests, and then we do bike accessories and rider accessories, chains, whips, all that kind of stuff. Those kinds of chains and whips. But,
you just got a whole new bunch of clientele coming in.
Mongo just texted me, ask him if he has whips, and he saw it on there.
So but it's
do you
all
do any?
good.
I know a big thing. I don't know if you do it with the leather shops. I know there's a big call for patches.
A bunch of patches.
Do you sew patches on in your shop?
I have sewn patches. I did. It's a time-consuming deal, and we've grown to such that I just don't have time to do it. And those mongrels that I have in my shop, you don't want them sewing patches on your vest. So I've got a couple ladies who we can refer you to locally that can get that done at a reasonable price, and they do a much better job than one of the other guys that's working in the shop.
So there's that saying about dressing for the slide. Like if you're riding out,
dress for the slide, not for the ride.
Exactly. So if you were to make a recommendation, someone were to come into your shop and say a new rider, I just bought a bike, not really sure what to get. Top to bottom, what would you recommend for that person? What leather accessories would they typically need to get?
Well, you always want chaps, of course, and vest. I mean, vests are a year-round deal. Most bikers, Harley riders, Indian riders are going to be wearing vests. I mean, we don't deal with the sport bike rider. It's different boots, different leathers, different helmets, different everything with the sport bike riders. And so for a cruiser rider, vest, chaps, and a jacket. Now, it's 110 degrees outside. You're not going to wear, a big, heavy leather jacket. At least wear yourself a vest. Use vest extenders. That way you can open the vest up. And when you're riding, it just cools it down. The vest extenders are able to keep your vest from flopping in the wind.
Right.
And also in the winter times, it helps you put your vest over a jacket and have it fit that way. So vest extenders are not for the guys who have outgrown their vests, although that is a side benefit of a vest extender.
Do chaps come in different thicknesses?
They do.
What are the general sizes of chaps?
Well, of course, our sizes come from 2 extra small to we can get them up to 12 extra large. Now I don't stock those. Usually I stock up to 5X.
5X.
5N, which fits
pretty big boys.
All the guys, we're big boys.
Pretty big boys.
Well, I meant in the
thickness.
The thickness of the leather.
Right,
yeah.
right. Now I don't have the grade as far as that. Now, only thing I carry, I don't carry any of your split leather products. I carry milled leather and naked leather products, which are your better grade leather. But they do come in thicker. They got some that are more appropriate for summer wear versus winter wear. I mean, you've got some that have removable liners in them for winter. Texas, those aren't real important. But, again, you should be wearing chaps when you ride. But you see these crazies out there wearing shorts and flip-flops when they're riding. I mean, how stupid.
That's crazy.
So, but each to his own. I mean, obviously, denim's not going to give you much of a slide factor. And but with leather, it's just it saves you a lot of layers of epidermis. And some leather.
If you ever went on to YouTube, and I'll tell you right now, for anybody who's maybe new to the motorcycle community, go on to YouTube and Google what is it? The Twisted Sisters? No. What's that?
Three Sisters.
Three sisters. Or the Twisted Sisters.
Or the Twisted Sisters. And look at some of those slides that some of those people have been taking, and a lot of them recover because of the leather that they're wearing. You got to dress for the ride and for proper protection. Here in Texas, we don't have a helmet law, but most people will wear their helmet because it's just the smart thing to do. You always want to protect you protect your head at all times, and when you want to do that, you want to make sure you're comfortable going forward. And for a comfortable DOT helmet, which we hardly knew that there were any out there, because most DOT helmets are uncomfortable. I know, coming from New York, we used to buy these fake helmets, and they looked like little. They were not DOT approved.
The skid lids.
The little novelty brain buckets. And, cops would know right off the bat that it was not DOT approved, and you'd get that, you'd get that summons and the whole bit. Here, these helmets that are DOT approved fit that same criteria of helmet, give you that lightweight, nice fitting look that everybody's looking for in a helmet,
Now, safety is not the preeminent reason somebody buys one of our helmets. All right, but they are DOT. They do fit in your saddlebags. You can take them across straight lines. They are legal in every state. But safety should be a factor. And my goal is, especially in a state like Texas, some of these other states that do not have helmet laws, if I can get one brother to wear a helmet who wouldn't normally wear a helmet, then I've done my job. Obviously, it's not a $500 showy, but when you go down, I have my warranty is if you go down and damage the helmet, you send me the helmet and send me a copy of the police report. If it's a verifiable accident, I'm going to replace the helmet.
Wow.
I don't want you wearing that helmet after it's been damaged. And you go to showy and you ask them to give you a new helmet, they're going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to make it safe for a rider and that he gets a fresh helmet if he does damage it in that. Now, I can't fall off the back of your bike and go skidding across the parking lot because you forgot to put it on. But and I've had those.
Right. Oh, look, I went down.
But I want to take care of my riders, and just wearing a helmet is.
I tell you, I've been down one time. I was wearing a full face bell, And I'm glad I was, because I wouldn't look as pretty as I do today if I hadn't been. But I wear the half shell now.
Have you had any testimonials from guys that may have went down who were wearing a helmet?
I've got 300 5-star Google reviews. I've got 99.9% 5-star reviews out there. So I just got a ton of reviews.
No, but when I say that, hey, this helmet
people that actually had the accident.
Saved my life.
The last one was last week from a sailor in San Diego, and he went down. He the day he bought it and put the thing on, he went down, and of course he sent me the helmet back, and he credits it for saving his life. So
wow.
So we actually got a couple questions for you. One of our listeners over in the UK wants to know if you have brand ambassadors, and they would be interested in speaking to you privately about that, if that's something that you have an interest in. And then we had another one of our listeners wanting to know if you have like a website or something they could go to look at your stuff.
Well, certainly the website is Mirodot plural.com. So Mirodot plural.com. And certainly brand ambassadors, something like that, I'd be interested in. I do have a dealer network, mostly on the East Coast. UK in Europe is a different standard than a DOT. I sell a lot of helmets we're in 23 different countries. I got customers in 23 different countries. I do a lot of business in Australia, New Zealand, and Austria. So I'm not sure exactly what their helmet laws are. I know they don't follow DOT, but if you can get away with wearing one of these.
Yeah.
Again, the nice thing about these is they shut the wives up, the mothers up, the daughters up, everybody who gives you a hard time without wearing a helmet. It's worth $100 just not to listen to that.
Those are the full face helmets, all right?
No, these are my half face helmets.
No, they shut them up.
Yeah, we don't carry we don't carry any full face product. It goes against our philosophy of trying to make it lightweight, less than a bottle of water in weight, and give you some protection, basic protection to get you to wear that helmet. Because a guy who doesn't wear a helmet in Texas sure ain't going to wear a full face helmet.
Yeah.
Especially when it's 100 degrees outside.
Right.
So
yeah, it's a little tough out there, especially on 100 degrees, long trips, man. You can be sweating. It's nice to get that. You can't get no wind therapy with a full face helmet.
That's the most important.
Spectre says they can't find good helmets over in the UK, so
you do a lot of shipping across.
Look it up, yeah. Go to the webpage and
I just pinned your website up on our Facebook page. That's www.microdothelmets.com. For those of you looking on our Facebook page right now, it's pinned on our comment section. So check them out. I'm sure you go right there. You could probably check out a whole bunch of different accessories.
Oh yes, yeah.
So what else besides vest and chaps? What other leather and helmets? What other products do you sell?
Well,
before you get into that, we're gonna have to take a quick break.
It is that time.
It is that time. We got a lot. We do have a lot to talk about, so I want to make sure that we can fit it all in our time span. So once again, this is 99% Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break. We are here with Mike, the Mad Dog of Mirodot Helmets. Check it out while we are on a commercial break, and we will see you momentarily.
Fifth Avenue Nutrition in Garland is a twist on your normal coffee or donut shop. Serving coffee, teas, shaved ice, and delicious ice cream shakes, pastries, and muffins, Fifth Avenue offers a wide variety of delicious drinking concoctions, ranging from specialty coffee, nitro brews, meal replacement ice cream shakes, to energy-boosting fruit-flavored teas. At Fifth Avenue, we proudly serve the Black Rifle Company brand coffee. At Fifth Avenue, we back our blue by offering free coffee to all uniformed members of the service. Visit us at 414 West Avenue D, Garland, Texas. Open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Pop in and see us. We have a bright idea to make you healthy, delicious, and fun.
Hi, this is is your host, Pastor Clemens, and your co-host, Pastor Kathy Hamilton, of the God's Warrior Show, broadcasting live each week on Saturday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. from Global Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Now log on to hear feel-good gospel music, inspiration words, and exciting guest interviews. Be sure to log on to God's Warrior Show on Facebook Radio Network every Saturday to receive the blessing that you've been waiting for. The wait is over. Now you can get your own awesome Fishbowl shirts, sweaters, and accessories through the Fishbowl Radio Network website. Log on to fbrn.us, click the easy-to-find swag link at the top of the page, and start rocking the latest FBRN swag. The Fishbowl swag store carries pens, backpacks, wallets, phone cases, and so much more. Jump in now at fbrn.us, click the swag link, and join the Fishbowl family.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Baseball Radio. FBRN.US. Jump in.
Welcome back to the 99% Radio Network here in Globe Life Park, the heart of the entertainment district in Arlington, Texas. We are broadcasting you live from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios. You are listening to Sideshow 12 and Mongo as we have our guest Mad Dog Mike with Mirodot helmets in here to explain safety, in here to explain the difference between the Mirodot and maybe a full face helmet and the comfort levels. Once again, man, thank you, Mike, for joining us. We welcome you back to the studio.
Pleasure.
Now, we were discussing the Mirodot. You brought a sample here to show, take a look at. If you want to just bring that around so people could see it. Now, this helmet, you know, most bikers will see that, you know, that's the helmet that they want, man. That's the helmet they feel comfortable riding with. It's not what, like Mongo said, it's not that big kazoo looking helmet on your head. It's real comfort forming right to your head, and I love it, man. It looks great.
Well, it's a good looking helmet because it gives you a contoured look. You know, I mean, it gives you a nice look this way. But now
almost don't want to put stickers on that helmet. That looks good.
You could. Yeah, I didn't have that, but now you've got a functional sun visor. Now it's funny, at rallies and in person, this is my best-selling helmet. Online, my best-selling helmet is the Blister. Now, the way I came up with the Blister, I came up with this helmet first, called the Twister, and then I was looking at trying to come up with a name that would go with Blister, and I mean with Twister, and hell, I saw the helmet and the size of it. I had blisters that large in the Army, and so that's where the name Blister came with. It kind of stuck. But the Blister is more of a traditional-looking helmet, except it's just smaller. And that online is the best-selling helmet because I think people don't step out of their comfort zone. They know that helmet, what that looks like. When they're looking at these Twisters, they're not sure about it. But at rallies and in the store, they put this on, they look at it, and this is the one they end up buying just because it's such a cool-looking helmet.
Well, I like the fact that you've put the straps in the middle so that if you do turn it, whichever way, visor front or visor rear, that strap's going to be in the same spot, and it's not going to come across your face.
No matter which side you release the releases on.
You got Grand Priest out of England saying, "I want one. How much?"
So, I was just going to ask him, do we get a commission for sales?
Well, I've got this style in 3 different models. I got the Twister. Now, the traditional being in England, you'd appreciate because it's more of an English riding style. It's got the DOT imprint on the back. okay, rather than brim. So for people who like wearing it in the traditional manner. Now, I've got what's called a Twister 2.0, which is the same helmet with the DOT imprint on the brim side. Now, the 2.0 and the Twister are both ABS. That's a high-impact plastic. And the 360, which is what I wear, is a fiberglass helmet.
Okay.
Gives you a little more added safety. The plastic, it's high impact, and when it has an impact, it's designed to crack, and it gives a linear crack. Fiberglass
absorbs the impact.
That's how it dissipates the energy.
Right.
And then fiberglass, you use a fiberglass fabric, put a resin on it. The resin is what cracks, and when that has an impact, it gives you a spider web effect. So what it does is it disperses that energy over a greater surface of the helmet, therefore making it a little safer. But again, safety is not the main factor.
Can you pass that down?
Oh,
can
I can.
Take a quick look at that.
And while I'm doing that, can I suggest a slight cosmetic design modification for that?
Oh, stop with you.
I was just thinking, how cool would that helmet right there look if it had the, like the Mercury's, Mercury?
The wings?
The Mercury wings coming off that helmet right there? That'd look badass. I'd wear it.
I like it just the way it is. May I try this on?
Well, by all means.
You've been watching too many Elton John movies.
Oh, yeah. Says the person that just watched it the other night.
You know what, let me just put this transition over. Man, I tell you, this is one comfortable helmet.
It's literally the most comfortable helmet you'll ever own.
It really is a comfortable helmet. I'm just trying to figure out the strap here, how that works. Oh, wow, that's like a ratchet strap.
Now flip it around.
Right. Well, now I got to figure out how to take the strap off.
Well, I don't have the pull tab on.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like an airline seatbelt.
So when you pull up to a stoplight and you say you have an itch, you take that off, scratch your itch, put it back in a matter of seconds while your riding partner's still trying to get his off when the light turns green.
If you could see this, let me just watch this design on this. I've never seen a strap like that before. That is amazing. That is great.
That's a good. It's just I have one just like that. I don't know if it's Mirodot.
Yours
but
has
it
wings,
looks,
right?
Not yet.
Like your tampons. Wow.
I'm sure the Ranger ones, right?
But that is a good looking helmet.
That is one amazing helmet. Yeah. I would buy that just for the strap.
Right.
Just for the strap alone. I love that ratchet strap. It's so easy. Here you go, Mongo. Grab that.
So the price we never got to was $99 for the Twister, $109 for the 2.0, which both come in matte and gloss, and then the fiberglass is $119. It only comes in matte at this time.
Now they only come in that color. They don't come in.
The fiberglass only comes in matte.
My wife was saying she wants one in pink.
In pink, well, yeah, we can figure something out on that. If you're going to paint it, you get a gloss because that's what the body shop say is the best.
You put a gloss on it.
Is gloss if you want to paint. And people hydro dip them and all that kind of stuff too. So.
You know what? That's definitely my next helmet. I am definitely going to purchase one of those. Like I said, for anything else, just that strap alone and the comfort level on that helmet. I have 3 helmets at home. I hate them all. That definitely is what I would go with. And
they will wind up being garage ornaments for you, and this is the one you're going to be riding.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. That's a fantastic helmet. So. Tell us a little bit more about your shop, man. With your leather shop in Mansfield.
Again, we recently moved to Mansfield. We're in Rendon for 5 years, and Mansfield's a bigger shop. I need it for the additional warehouse space that we have in the back. 95% of my business is the helmets.
Wow.
The leather and gear store. Now we're working on an e-commerce site for that. Leather is a lot more competitive. It's heavy. It's expensive to ship, and so I've kind of decided to let my retail Scoot Dog motorcycle leather and gear be the DFW area business. In other words, to service my customers in this area here. I've kind of stayed away from e-commerce on that because you can buy that stuff anywhere, and I can't compete with the guys who works out of the mama's garage and has inventory there and is shipping it out. So,
right.
But it's a regular retail store, which also online it gives you some credibility because you're not just an online business. You're not just working out of a warehouse somewhere. You actually have customers who rely on you to take care of business.
One thing about your business, and I don't want to jinx you or anything, but did you get affected any bit by the COVID?
I did get affected by COVID.
By the close downs? You did.
And my business, my online business almost doubled. And it's just,
so you got infected in a good way.
Infected in a very good way.
Oh,
and,
good.
The thing about that was, with this, people had nothing better to do than stay home, and make babies, and shop online.
There you go.
So
little baby bucket right there.
Hey, Mr. Smarty Pants, one of our listeners just chimed in, by the way, and said that the hat.
Did you call me Smarty Pants?
I did call you Smarty Pants because
you're really showing your age.
I'm trying to be nice. They said that helmet
and his moniker
said that helmet would look really good with some Army Airborne wings on it. So
I'm looking at that right now.
But he meant a sticker,
that comes from.
I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Wings is wings.
Yeah. Color it in crayons. No, but listen, I like the helmet design the way it is. It's just comfortable. It's aerodynamic. It doesn't even feel like you have a helmet on your head, and it's nice and lightweight. I threw my grandson on the motorcycle the other day. He was in the garage. He's like, he wanted to go for a ride. So I went and I put one of my helmets on him, man. And he's only 4 years old. He looked like a weeble wobble. His head was just. He's like, Popo, man, this is too heavy. I'm like, we'll get you your own helmet. Maybe I'll you have them in extra small, right?
We go down to 2 extra small.
2 extra small, man.
One thing that we do that other helmets don't, most helmet companies go from 20 inches to 25 inches. They have 5 sizes, from small to 2 extra large.
Well, he's got a big head, so.
We take that same size range of 5 inches, 20 to 25, and we make 7 different sizes. And the big reason why is a snug fit is a safer fit. And so we want to be have more of a precise fit for people. In fact, one thing that we do different that you won't, and one reason why we have so many 5-star reviews is when somebody orders a helmet from us online, we make sure they get a personal contact, whether it's a phone call or an email or a text. And what we're asking is to confirm their actual size. A lot of people wind up just ordering something based on they've been wearing an extra large for the last 5 years, and these don't run in the same fashion as some of the other helmets do. So we want to confirm what your actual measurement is so we can agree with the size that you order, because the Carpenter's Creed, you measure twice and cut once. We're wanting to do that because it's expensive to ship these things back and forth. And $10 a pop going either direction. If it doesn't fit right. I'm trying to save you money and me some money in the process.
Let's say a guy's going to order offline, right? What would be the best way for him to measure his head? Take a piece of, fabric measuring tape and try to measure his head.
A tailor's tape is
Tailor's tape.
And I've got a series of YouTube videos out there on how to measure your head, how these helmets should fit, what is it too big, is it too small, and what style fits your head, because that's a big portion of it. But to measure your head, use a tailor's tape. Don't try to use a carpenter's metal tape. It just does not work.
There's somebody out there pulling out some carpenter's metal tape right now.
And so I encourage people, if they don't have a tailor's tape, which a lot of people don't, use your telephone's power cord. It doesn't stretch. It'll go over the biggest head, and you don't pull it tight. You don't leave it loose, just where it doesn't droop, and then lay it out on a tape measure.
Yeah.
But use your power cord if you don't have a tailor's tape. Yeah.
Smart idea.
And just ride around. You know where the helmet line is.
Now, for people that did miss that, you can go check out the YouTube videos. What would they be on?
Go to YouTube and search for a Mirodot helmet company.
And then they'll teach you how to measure precisely. This way, like you said, shipping costs back and forth can become expensive. So you want to just be able to measure once, and that's it, man, and have your helmet delivered the right way.
Another thing we do is making contact with people. I mean, we have a motive, which is we want to reduce costs by shipping back and forth. We want to make sure you're happy by getting the best chance of having that helmet that you receive first being the one that fits the best. But also in this unpersonal e-commerce world, when you don't expect a phone call or a contact from a company that you order online, we're trying to bring a little old-fashioned customer service to the online world and make that actual person contact, and that's why we have such great customer service ratings online.
Well, that's a big thing to a lot of customers out there, because everybody does ship online, does a lot of stuff through websites and gets stuff shipped through Amazon or UPS, whatever, because they don't want to go out to the stores, and they do lose that customer service thing. And I know my wife gets frustrated because she's like, oh, now I got to call this friggin' place in China to ship this thing over, and she gets frustrated and she just ends up throwing the thing out. You know.
That brings something else that you just mentioned, China, and the fact that there are a lot of imitators out there that are using my brand name Mirodot. And a lot of them are on Facebook, and I know and they're hitting Facebook with these ads, with these guys riding these helmets, and people think they're buying my helmet because I have customers call me saying, "Man, I ordered this thing 3-4 weeks ago. Where's it at?" And I pull them up, and they're not in my database. So I say, "I'm sorry, brother, you didn't order it from me."
Good point.
But they're ordering these helmets, and they're actually coming from China. And if you get it within 6 to 8 weeks, you're doing good. If you happen to get it, so just know just because it says a Mirodot helmet doesn't mean it's a Mirodot helmet company.
So how does somebody tell the difference between your version and a Chinese junk version?
A lot of them you can't just off an ad.
One, if it takes 8 weeks to get it, it's probably from China.
Probably.
Which is the one you're wearing.
Right. The best thing to do.
You might be right.
The best thing to do is don't order off Facebook. Go right to www.microdothelmets.com.
Well, now
order direct from Mad Dog.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I prefer. But I'm also on Amazon. I'm on eBay. We're on Walmart. So we got all the marketplaces. So you need to order it for sure from a reputable marketplace. And Facebook is, but they just don't police that as much as they probably should. And we've had to pull the ticket on because I've trademarked all my stuff, and I've had to bring that up to Facebook, and they've dropped some of those ads.
So he just some months back, Mongo had a whole surplus of helmets, and he gave me one that looks exactly like yours, and I'm almost certain, I won't swear to it, but I think it says Mirodot on it. But he just pointed out that one that I got from him originally is probably one of those Chinese ones. So I'm curious as to, from quality control, from a quality control standpoint, what the differences are. If I go down and mash my milling on the asphalt, is that helmet just going to shatter like a kid's toy?
A lot of them are a novelty helmet, and you can tell by looking at the inside the lining on this, and you have to know what a novelty helmet looks like on the inside. And they say that the novelty helmets, based on the type of plastic they have, that if you get an accident, it can shove a piece of plastic through your brain. So
I would not be able, as a layperson, to tell the difference because I'm looking at the inside, the way that the inside is designed, and all of that. It looks exactly like that.
Well, one thing that you want to look for on the DOT, and you can't tell on their ads, but the DOT imprint that it's on the back is not a sticker. It's an imprinted in the manufacturing process, and it typically is going to have the model name, the manufacturer name, and say DOT and FM, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard Act number 218, so FMVSS.
I think this one just says Mirodot on it, as I recall.
I bet it doesn't say Mirodot. It might just say DOT.
It says DOT for sure.
Yeah, DOT.
Yeah. If all it says is DOT, technically that's not a DOT helmet because it's not meeting the specifications of the requirements that it's supposed to. So
they go through rigorous testing.
Believe me, brother, I don't want anything to happen to you because I do not want to be the president.
You were ripped off.
No, well, I wasn't trying to hurt you.
Jimbo just commented. Where is it?
He says he has the helmet.
He says he has one of the helmets. James Jimbo Nicholas says I have one. I have that helmet. I love it.
Nicholson.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that ride with that helmet, man.
I'd say literally thousands and thousands. And to me, that warranty that I give for free replacement, I mean, that's well received by most people. And
that's
the least I can do for my customers. And I don't replace that many because, I mean, let's face it, guys who ride like we ride, they're not doing. You're not riding on one wheel like you see these crazies on, sport bike guys. We're a cruiser. We're a rolling lounge chair. You know, we're just meant to just cruise, and we don't ride stupid like a lot of people do.
Yeah. Now, well, it's a great product. It's once again, we are in Texas. There is no helmet laws, but and like you said, man, the wives, the girlfriends are always like, hey, listen. Please put your helmet on. And, my wife would turn around to me a lot of times. She'll be like, hey, if you're going on a highway, wear a helmet. Well, you know what? If you're going on a side street, too, if you just run into the store, wear the helmet. This Mirodot is so comfortable, you're not even going to know you have it on in the first place. It's not a pain in the ass to get on and off like the traditional helmets. It's got that little, that ratchet clip, man. It's real easy. So this I tell you, you check this thing out. You'll wear it all the time because it's nice and easy to get on and off.
Well, if guys tell me they wear it in the store, forget that they have it on.
It's light. It really is light,
when
man.
you talk about wearing a helmet on the freeway, that's one thing you got to think about. If you go down at 80, I'm sorry, but a helmet ain't going to do you much good. And if it does, it's going to leave you with drool running down your chin for the rest of your days. Okay,
Correct.
So but
you better leather up.
Overwhelming majority of accidents happen at 35 miles per hour or less. Some fool that pulls up to a stop or to a stop sign, looks right at you, doesn't see you, and pulls right out in front of you.
Yep.
Those are where your accidents happen.
The left-hand turns.
And so I mean, use your lights, use your horn. I'm not shy about any of that stuff. But if you're going to wear a helmet, wear it around town. If you're not going to, take it off on the freeway. That's where, if you're not going to wear one, that's the place to do it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because at 80, it's really not going to matter.
Right. Yeah.
It's really not going to matter. That's when you want the good chaps.
I just soon meet my maker at 80 than go down at 80.
So, Mad Dog, you and we got about 15 minutes left, and I want to hear about this. You are a backer of the Blue,
that's
which we led off with, and you are putting together a ride to show your support for them. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, we've organized Bikers Backing Blue. And, this crazy world that we're in right now, up is down, left is right, everything's just crazy. And to defund cops just doesn't make sense to me. To not back our police officers, I mean, you throw a guy in jail for doing his job. Now, we all know that this Brother Ferguson, George, this thing that happened to him, none of us support that kind of stuff. None of us do. I mean, you got bad cops, you got bad everybody. Every job in the world's got somebody who just doesn't do it right. And so we don't support that, obviously, but we do support our men and women in blue because they're the ones that got our back, and we've got to have their six in the same process. And so we've started Bikers Backing Blue, and on August 8th, okay, which is a Saturday, August 8th, we've got this down to, and what we're needing is organizers in different counties, because what we want to do is county by county. We were looking at maybe doing a ride on Austin and just shutting down Austin and just having 5,000 bikers show up in Austin just to back the Blue. But we decided that we're going to do it county by county, and so that more people are going to be involved if they want to be involved in it because it's a shorter ride. It just takes a few hours. We're hoping to start at 10, and then every county, if we can get an organizer in each county, you guys give me a call. And we'll get you set up as the organizers. You guys, you feel the same thing we feel. And, of course, nothing's going to change until the patriots, the ones who love this country, until we can express that love for our country in a louder fashion than those who hate it. Okay, until that happens, nothing's going to change. And so we got to get out there and express the love for our country.
I'm going to put that out, Bikers Backing Blue on August 8th. Is there someplace, a website, a certain web page where they can get it at, where they can find more information about this if they want to be?
Yet. At this point, you go to my webpage. You can contact me. I'll be happy to give you my number on the air if you guys don't have a problem with that.
No, it's as long as
817-276-9090. Just not have any haters call, that's fine. But if you want to get involved with this, we'll give you the details that we have in your local county, because every county has a county seat, has a courthouse that you can show up with 10 bikers, 20 bikers, 100 bikers, 500 bikers, and sit at noon on the 8th and let them know that you're back in the Blue, because it's the Blue that we're doing this for. So I don't suspect we're going to have any pushback from anybody wearing blue. Now, you might have pushback from the mayors and the city councils and the county commissioners, that kind of stuff, and so be prepared for that. But also be prepared for on the sidelines where we're getting backed up because we're showing support for the men and women who actually make things happen, makes our life safe in our own communities.
Right.
And they are basically the 1% of our community. Just like the military, we're the true 1%ers. No offense to the outlaw bikers, but the military individuals who have joined the military, 1%. Can you believe that? 99%, a lot of the majority of the 99% who have never been in the military, they don't understand the cost that it takes to allow them to believe the way they want to believe and do the crazy things they want to do. And that's why we fight. That's why we join to do those things, so people can have the right to be stupid, if that's what they want to be, in our opinion, of course. But, I mean, we need to back the Blue. And so August 8th, try to show up at your county courthouse. I mean, here in Tarrant County, we intend to ride.
Wear your masks.
Be compliant, of course, obviously. But we want to be able to ride, say, from the courthouse down to the stockyards a few times, and then just wrap at noon. Try to be at your county courthouse. And bring your loudspeaker. Have your people who want to discuss the craziness, but let's not make a political event out of this thing. It's got nothing to do with politics. I mean, politics.
This is a supporting event for our law enforcement officers,
for men and women and first responders.
And first responder support group,
because they're getting the fire department and these EMTs and they're getting spit on, they're getting yelled at, they're getting blocked, and they're being chastised along with the rest of them. So I mean, we got to take our society back. We got to take our country back from this craziness that's going on now. Until we get loud and proud and get out there and make our thoughts known, is nothing's going to change.
Well, that's just it too. Until the communities start showing that they're not going to take the anarchy lifestyle, they're not going to take the spray painting and dismantling and the damage to their buildings. Business owners have had enough with just COVID. They don't want to come to work and find spray paint all over their building or their business has been looted. Because that just makes it harder for them to get back up on their feet.
This requires, though, it's in line with what we were talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
It's time for the silent majority, us,
to stand up.
The three, and I think it's 3%. I'll disagree with you slightly there, but it's okay. 1 to 3% have actually served the country, put the uniform on, one kind or the other, and gone out there and done it. But it takes an effort. We sit back and we let these people run rampant. We let them run wild in the streets, and we're quiet. And we're supportive, but it doesn't require any activity, any action. We've said it before on this show. It's time that we stand up as a community, as a biker, the 99% biker community, and make an effort and start showing people that we back the blue and we do not support these defund the police efforts. We don't support the anti-police narrative. We're all against bad cops. We don't even need to say that anymore. We don't want them. They don't need to be in the business. But these young men and women and folks that are out there today just trying to make a difference in their community. That's what we stand for. So you know what? We got to get out there now. We got to make an effort. We have to be inconvenienced if necessary to take that stand.
So we're going to show our support next Wednesday here at the studio.
That's right.
Right? We're going to show our support next Wednesday here at the studio, and then we're going to show our support again on August 8th in many communities around the nation.
We know some folks at Arlington PD that ride motorcycles that maybe we could holler at and say, hey, we're going to be here and we're going to be here for you.
Yep.
This is your city. We're coming here to support you, law enforcement in general, but you specifically, because this is your city. And come on down, join us.
So we've got one separate agenda involved here also. A lot of the people might remember the fiasco that happened in Waco a few years back. Well, there's some animosity between the Blue and the biker community in that, because that was a crazy deal altogether. But so we were also wanting to heal that rift between the police officers, because a lot of places in Texas you couldn't wear your cut, go into a bar, wear your cut.
Still can't.
You got to take them off. Afterwards you go to the local Harley dealers, and you had spotters on the roofs from opposing buildings looking for guys wearing cuts, because if you were a biker you were bad, and that's just not true. I mean, there's no more loyal people than the biker community. We're multicultural, we're multi-ethnical, we all love each other. There ain't no color when it comes to the biker community. We all love 2 wheels, 3 wheels, we're bikers, and there's nothing that separates us other than the community that we have and the love that we have for our own people, and that's bikers.
And we learned that so quick on this show that when we first started the show, which matter of fact we want to bring up, this is our 1-year anniversary for the 99.
It's our birthday.
It's our birthday. And you couldn't have said it better, Mad Dog, because from day one, our show has grown throughout the nation, and now it's global. We're estimated over 50 to 80,000 listeners per month, either on a live broadcast or on a replay. We've been getting phone calls from all over the world, showing solidarity in the biker community, showing what the biker community does, and the millions and I'm going to say billions of dollars it raises every year for local charities throughout the country and throughout the world. We have found so many kind-hearted people out there just ready to give anything they can to help another, and you don't find that in any other community besides the biker community. And you know, when you say we are a community amongst our own, we are, man, because we will step up for every cause there is out there.
Right.
And I'm proud to be part of it. Yeah. So proud to be part of it.
So I think everybody ought to go to your Facebook page and give you a like on the Facebook. And, I mean, that's how this word gets out, is by likes. And, you know, Facebook is just a way to get that out there. It's not the only way. I don't know if you guys have a Twitter and that kind of stuff. You know,
we just don't know how to use it yet.
Yeah, well, you know, you got some of the, you know.
We gotta get a young kid, man.
Yeah. So
we ain't on the Twitter or the Instagram. We're barely on the Facebook.
Yeah, but repost your Facebook stuff.
The Facebook.
Yeah. But you know, just on this platform alone, we have made so many good friends and just bonds throughout this last year, and we can't thank everybody enough on the support they've given on mostly every issue we've brought up, and the backing that they've given their own communities. It's wonderful. It's heartwarming. You know, and I want to see this next Wednesday when we have to support the Blue. The way you guys back the 99% Radio Network, we want you to back the Blue by coming down to the station, by being interviewed, by showing your support for every first responder that's out there, and we will have your back on everything. So that's going to be next week, next Wednesday, starting out whenever you can get here. Parking lot B, man. Come there, raise your flag, raise your blue line flag, your American flag, and let's show Texas what the biker community is all about.
We can't call it an event or a rally or anything that kind of stuff.
It's just a gathering.
These are our guests for the show today.
Yeah. And if we have 1,000 guests, we'll just have to do them one at a time. But you know, and 1,000 guests need a place to park. This is not a rally. This is just a show of solidarity to the 99% Radio Network and showing that you support your Blue. So if you're just driving past the station with your motorcycle around, you know, 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon on next Wednesday, pull into the parking lot, say hello to another biker, and share a conversation. And we'll be there to share that same conversation with you.
So, Mad Dog, in terms of the Backing the Blue ride, do I understand you correctly that you're looking for organizers to step up in different counties? You said you had Tarrant County covered already, and you're wanting to go as far and wide as you can?
Yeah, well, one reason why we decided to do it county by county is because it can go beyond Texas. And our hope and dream is that some of these other law enforcement clubs get the word out. I'm also a member of the American Legion Riders. We got ALR posts out there that can get the word out. And, you know, just need to get the word out. Every county has a county courthouse and a county seat. And so it can go much beyond Texas. Every state, every county in this country should have somebody on August 8th show up at a courthouse on a motorcycle and with a blue cap on, a blue something, and let them know you're back in the Blue. So that's why we want to do it that way. So no matter where you're at, if you live in a county somewhere, which everybody does, call us, contact us, send me an email, bigdog@scootdog.com. Yeah, bigdog@scoot with a K, scootdog.com.
Scootdog.com.
And we'll get you hooked up and signed up, and then you got to come up with your own, you know what you want to say. You know, get your own bullhorn and just talk to these people. Just have people show up and let everybody have something to say. But let's not make a racial thing out of it. Let's not make a political statement out of it. It's just backing the Blue.
Just let them know we're not into defunding the police department.
Right,
we don't want to compromise our safety.
Right. I don't want to pick up 911 one day and get the information. You know, we need somebody to show up when you dial 911.
You know, you bring that up, and that happened in Seattle not too long ago. A lady was traveling with her baby, and she called 911 because protesters started surrounding her car. She was fearing for her life, and the 911 operator said, Well, you'd have to call City Hall because we are told not to do anything. This was a true 911 call. This lady was in fear for her life. Somebody busted her back window with the baby sitting in the back car seat, and she had to pull out. No cops responded. 911 operator told her, sorry, there's nothing we can do. They're allowed to protest. Now, that's a scary day for a woman coming home from the store.
The flip side of that is, if you saw the video, it's all over YouTube, of the officer that was working a picket line with the protesters all around. Protester had their little baby there at the protest, protesting against the police. The baby choked, and the cop immediately stopped what he was doing, ran over and administered first aid and saved that baby's life. Well, I'll bet you that mother wasn't back out on the protest line the next day. You think so?
I bet she was.
Oh,
I hate to say it, but I bet she was.
Is your faith in humanity so small that you would think she would go back out there?
You know, it's sad to say. You know what? I hate to say this because, you know, and I've spoken this over with Tigger many times, and I'm trying to really keep my faith in humanity. Yeah. And you know who I am. You know.
I know.
And I told Tigger the other day, man, I said, you know what? I would lay down my life for anybody. Yeah. I will jump in front of a bullet. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are, what sex you are. I will jump in front of that bullet for you to save your life, and I will give up mine. I'm really starting to second guess that now.
And
I really am.
You mean to be more selective? They won't thank you for that either.
Yeah, I'm not looking for. A thanks.
I understand. But, you know, they won't acknowledge the fact that you've done that.
Right, but I got to a point, and I know you guys are the same way, that if I saw an injustice happening in a parking lot, you know, I'm the first one to get involved and help them out, to stop it, to stop someone from getting hurt. I don't know if I would put myself in harm's way anymore for that. No, and that's what's scary for me, because I've never been like that. Well, in 53 years, I've never, ever felt that way.
I'm not going to say which way it was. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There was a child that was, you know, in danger of losing
his life. I would always
help
a child.
And that cop, there were some differences between the mother and child and the police officer that responded, but it didn't matter. He did his job, and I'm not going to be so jaded as to think that she went back out there and protested against him the next day. But you might be right.
I would hope not. I would hope not. But you know what? Maybe I'm just watching a little too much news, because the mental stress has been getting a lot of us.
Well, you know what? If she did that, then she's a piece of crap.
Well, we'd never know. We'd never know, because, you know, there's too many hypocrites out there that are talking out of both sides of their mouths when it comes to the police, because they'll say defund, dismantle, and get rid of in one breath, but as soon as their car gets vandalized, they're calling 911 to have a cop come over and help them. So I don't know what to believe in, and I'm sure our brothers and sisters in law enforcement out there are feeling that as much as we are feeling it not working. I'm sure they are feeling it tenfold.
We got to get politics out of the justice system.
Yeah, without a doubt. I agree that 100%. You know, they gotta really start back in the blue. That's what it's all got to come down to. Back in the blue.
Yeah. Yep.
Back in our first responders. You know, back in every one of those people out there that is willing to risk their life for a stranger. So,
firemen are in it too.
Yep. Even though they sleep a lot, firemen are first responders too.
You gotta be crazy to run into fire.
So, all right. Well, we got to just take another quick break and take this commercial message out for TLC on the Lake.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
So how'd you guys get together? You ride with the same club?
We do. Yeah. All three the same club. He and I were...
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard.
He came out here first.
If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
Northern Nevada was too cold. Snows up there all the time.
Right.
So I came out here.
Looking to purchase or sell your home? Visit Warriors Agency Group in McKinney. With so many different loan programs out there, you need to choose the one that's right for you. That's why at Warriors Agency Group, our realtors are highly trained to find a loan that fits your budget. We stand behind the values and the integrity we've adopted through our military service. Our knowledge of military and VA benefits is what stands us apart from civilian realtors. So give us a call at 214-998-3842 or drop in at 7200 West University Suite, 300 in McKinney, Texas. You've served your country. Now let Warriors Agency Group serve you.
Just young enough that we heard the stories. They were just young enough to, green enough to tell the stories. And so when I would read the newspapers, when I was in 7th grade, we had this class called Current Events. And if you read newspapers, you make a report on what's going on. But so I was young, I was 12, 13, 14. Mentality. And when I was reading, coming back, swear was what I was being told. And that's what's pretty cool.
All right, welcome back to the 99% Radio Network here in Globe Life Park, broadcasting you from the Fishbowl Radio Network studios, the heart of Arlington, Texas's entertainment district. Man, you are here with Sideshow 12 and Mongo, and wrapping it up with Mad Dog Mike of Mirodot Helmets. Man, Mad Dog, it has been a pleasure to have you as a guest. And being part of the 99% Radio Network family. It really is. I just want to recap on a couple of things. We have the August 8th, Back to Blue at every courthouse. If you're just tuning in, if you ride on two wheels, August 8th, do we have a specific time?
Well, we'd like everybody to meet at their local courthouse at noon, at 12 o'clock is when you park the bikes, you get off and go to the steps. But I mean, we're going to be leaving here in Mansfield about 10, and we're going to take a ride towards Fort Worth, and we're going to have as many bikes as we can. Make that round from the courthouse to the stockyard. It's a great ride down there. Anybody doesn't know Fort Worth,
right?
And then so at noon is when we plan on being on the courthouse steps
at Tarrant County Courthouse.
At Tarrant County Courthouse. And we expect there's going to be a lot of people in Dallas, and we really encourage Harris County, Bexar County. Travis County, do the same in these other counties and these other states. You guys find some riders out there, and you be on those courthouse steps at noon on August the 8th. That's Saturday. You got plenty of time to get this thing organized. That's 6 weeks away to make that happen.
And what we want to do, what we want you to do is, so we can track this. We're going to track this with you, Mike. If you get a group of bikers to get to a county courthouse on August 8th, get us a picture. Get us a video. Get us some interviews of your whatever county you're in, and we will air them on the 99% Radio Network the week after August 8th. That following Wednesday, we will put them all together, and we will edit everything. We'll have it up and ready to go for your viewing. So we would like to see as many counties and many states jump on board on this. We're going to start advertising it on our webpage and our Facebook page. And we're going to try to push it out as much as we can.
Talk to your local newspapers, talk to your local radio stations, wherever you're at. Talk to them, let them know what's happening on August 8th, so we're not the only ones showing up. Because if it's not allowed, not proud, it's not going to have an impact. So it needs to be. And they don't like airing our side of the things anyway. And so the only way they're going to be there is if there's a lot of people. So grab as many as you can and make it loud.
Right. And remember, this is a show of support. This is not a rally. It's not a protest. Right. It's not political. It's not. It's just to show support for our brothers in blue and our first responders.
And it's our 4th day past the most current lockdown, so it'll be a good day to get out and actually enjoy a little fellowship with fellow bikers. Get out and do something constructive.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect way to look at it, Mongo. So listen. Mad Dog, you are more than welcome to stay for the Mongo log if you'd like.
I'd love to hear.
You're more than welcome. If you got nowhere to go, you can finish up the show with us. We'd love to have you. Your input is always welcome.
That's great.
But right now, we have to transition into the Mongo Log.
I'm leaving it. If any one of you friends and neighbors kind of gather around, holy shit! Here comes Mungo.
All right, everybody. This week, you know, I was going to actually make it light, keep it light, kind of make it fun. And the more I watch TV, because I typically only watch the news, the more angry I became. So I changed the whole theme, and here we are. Who is Black Lives Matter, and what do they want? Black Lives Matter, BLM, is an organized movement advocating for nonviolent civil disobedience in protest against incidents of police brutality against African American people. An organization known simply as Black Lives Matter exists as a decentralized network with over 30 chapters in the United States and sister organizations worldwide, while a larger Black Lives Matter movement exists consisting of various separate like-minded organizations such as Dream Defenders, Assata's Daughters. The broader, you want to grab this?
Yep.
Sorry. The broader movement and its related organizations typically advocate against police violence towards black people, as well as for various other policy changes considered to be related to black liberation. In 2013, the movement began with the use of hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media after the acquittal of George Zimmerman in the shooting death of African-American teen Trayvon Martin in February of 2012. The movement became nationally recognized for street demonstrations following the 2014 deaths of two African Americans, Michael Brown, resulting in protests and unrest in Ferguson, a city near St. Louis, and Eric Gardner in New York City. Since the Ferguson protests, participants in the movement have demonstrated against the deaths of numerous other African Americans by police actions and while in police custody. The overall Black Lives Matter movement is a decentralized network and has no formal hierarchy. In 2013, the Black Lives Matter network was formed as an online platform that existed to provide activists with a shared set of principles and goals. Local Black Lives Matter chapters are asked to commit to the organization's list of guiding principles, but operate without a central structure or hierarchy. Currently, there are approximately 16 Black Lives Matter chapters in the U.S. and Canada. The loose structure of Black Lives Matter has contributed to confusion in the press and among activists, as actions or statements from chapters or individuals are sometimes attributed to Black Lives Matter as a whole. Some BLM's guiding principles that I referred to earlier are diversity, globalism, empathy, restorative justice, and intergenerationality. Now, full disclosure here, when I saw the term intergenerationality, I had to look the word up to see exactly what it meant, because I wanted to see if it meant looting and burning local businesses. As it turns out, it has nothing to do with new Nike tennis shoes, but rather it's about interaction between members of different generations. A list of policy demands was established in 2016. Black Lives Matter and a coalition of 60 organizations affiliated with BLM called for decarceration in the United States, reparations for slavery in the United States, and an end to mass surveillance, investment in public education, not incarceration, and community control of police, empowering residents and communities of color to hire and fire police officers and issue subpoenas, decide disciplinary consequences, and exercise control over city funding of police. Now, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm being too narrow-minded, but I can't possibly see any benefit to allowing an organization that is anti-police to begin with to actually have control over the hiring, firing, disciplinary actions, and budgets of police departments. In my humble opinion, if BLM were to ever have a shot at being recognized as a legitimate organization for change within the black community, then BLM has to change its guiding principles and policy desires and actually start caring about the black community. If BLM truly cared about the black lives, they wouldn't ignore the murders of thousands of young black men in their cities every year. They wouldn't allow abortion clinics to be established in black neighborhoods. They would do their best to see that cities and local politicians improve the public schools and encourage intact families within the black community. They would try to make black neighborhoods as safe as any non-black neighborhood. But BLM doesn't even consider doing any of this. They don't even try. Instead, they encourage theft and mayhem, and if it will help, as if it would help, it will not. BLM is not about black lives. BLM is about black anarchy. I heard an interview from one of the Black Lives Matter's local leaders, Hawk Newsom. He lives in the Bronx and represents BLM of Greater New York. He was talking to Martha McCallum. He told her that if their demands were not met, that they would burn the system down. It's attitudes like that that will alienate most of the population, including a good number of people in the black community that are trying to be good citizens and live their lives in a peaceful manner. It's also this attitude right here that causes animosity from people outside of the BLM movement to just say, you guys are full of shit and don't come to my neighborhood with your black anarchy because you won't like the outcome. Now on Sunday, I watched Chris Wallace conduct an interview with Hawk Newsom. He was much calmer and didn't seem to have the anger that he had during the interview with Martha McCallum. I can't say, however, that I agree with all of his points. Some of his points were valid and made sense. He told Wallace that he's from the streets and he hears the voice of the people, citing images of babies being killed, financial inequality, and financial inequality will cause people to lash out. It's just a matter of inevitability. I'm not sure who he's referring to when he talks about babies being killed. I can't recall ever seeing or hearing through the news of the police killing babies. Now, there are babies and young children being killed in black neighborhoods by residents of those neighborhoods involved in gang violence or the local abortion clinic. He then went on to say that America is treating crime as if it were something to be handled by the police. He said that defunding the police and looking at crime from a health perspective and why they commit crime is where the money should be going. He said people commit crimes because they are desperate, poor, and undereducated. I can actually agree with that, but whose fault is that? Is that the fault of the police? Is it the fault of the local government? Possibly. With regard to the education aspect of his comment, he said that people in the black community are left out to dry by the American system of government. He said that you don't bring in the police to arrest and brutalize them. You must invest in people by giving them jobs. I can't say that I agree with the government. It's the government's problem or the government's solution to give jobs to people. Now, he did talk about investing in programs in black communities involving entrepreneurship. That seems like a valid point. The educational opportunities are made available to everyone. If people from any community choose not to take advantage of them, that's a matter of personal responsibility. Listen, I don't want to sound like an asshole, although it's been said that I am an asshole, and I'm okay with that. I grew up with racism, but didn't realize what it was. When I lived in downtown Oakland, California, I was the only white kid in the neighborhood. I was chased home from school every day by black kids who wanted to fight. I didn't understand why. I guess I really didn't care. But I ran home every day to avoid the confrontation. Until one day I was ordered by my father to stand up for myself and fight back. Eventually they stopped chasing me. After Oakland, we moved to Vallejo, California. One of my two best friends was a black kid. The other was Hispanic. We didn't care one bit what our skin color was. We hung out and we had adventures all summer long, out in the countryside together. Although Vallejo is a very ethnic town, we lived in the outskirts in a very rural area and we just played. My dad was in the Navy, so we moved often. From Vallejo, we moved to San Diego, California. I will admit, living in San Diego was really nice. Not only because living in San Diego was really nice, but it was a nice neighborhood. When we moved to Newport News, Virginia, although I was in a school system with many military brats like myself, it was also a very ethnic town. Race fights after school were not uncommon. I didn't participate in them. I avoided them. But I stuck up for the kids who were being picked on regardless of their skin color. When I was in boot camp, my senior drill instructor, a good old boy from the South, called me into the drill instructor set prior to graduation. He told me that although I had earned graduating as the honor recruit, he was being scrutinized. He explained that in his last training platoon, the honor recruit was essentially a carbon copy of me. He said that if he allowed me to graduate as the honor recruit, he'd be labeled as a racist. He then explained that I would receive a meritorious promotion to private first class upon graduation, but I would not graduate as an honor recruit. Instead, that honor went to private first class Johnson, a black recruit, or as they were referred to during boot camp, a dark green Marine. Upon receiving this news, I did not go out and kill several other recruits in my platoon, nor did I go into the head and start smashing toilets. Nor did I take a rifle and shoot my drill instructor in the middle of the night. I accepted the news, was grateful for the promotion, and grateful to be done with boot camp. After I separated from the Marine Corps, I traveled to Los Angeles to set tests with my first police department, the LAPD. Unfortunately for me, I only had 2 check marks by my name. One was that I was qualified with a very high score, and 2, I was white. I was told at the time that LAPD was not hiring white males. So on I went and found a different department. I didn't, however, piss and moan about being passed over. I didn't burn a car. I didn't break a window. I didn't loot a shoe store. I just got on with life. In 1986, I tried to lateral to Oxnard Police Department. I came out number 4 overall. Oxnard PD passed over me and everyone else from 1 to 6 and hired number 7 on their list. He was the first non-white on the male on that list, and he got hired. Again, I was disappointed, but I didn't break any laws, destroy property, or go out on my next shift and look for minorities to arrest or brutalize. I worked my entire career and did not show any resentment to black people because of the injustice that I had experienced throughout my life. The only prejudice bone in my body is towards Irish gypsies. That's not to say that I wouldn't do my job and protect their lives and property if asked to do so. I just don't like dealing with those red-headed devils because they wouldn't know the truth if they had to utter it or if it hit him in the head.
Sea-Dog is going to have something to say about that.
He is not an Irish gypsy. He
I know
may
he's
be
not
Irish.
a gypsy, but
I'm telling you, you don't want to deal with Irish gypsies. Now, I admit that these are minor instances that I just reported, and they pale in comparison to a race of people that at one time were not treated as people. But most people these days, I should say all of them, were never slaves. They may have experienced perceived or genuine injustices, but nothing like the 1800s. I find myself today in a motorcycle club that has as its members a rainbow of colors when it comes to our heritages. I love each one as a brother and sister that they are, and I don't care what their skin color is. I know all of these individuals as people that they are. I've had long conversations with one of our black members who actually grew up with racism, served his country in Vietnam, came home a wounded hero, even after returning from war was treated like a second-class citizen when he tried to become a police officer. I understand injustices occur, and although he and I have more in common than he may care to admit, he will never change his mind about how he feels regarding black people, racial inequality, or politics. I get that, and I don't hold that against him. He's still my brother, and if I had to, I'd lay my life down for him. One of the demands made by Black Lives Matter is for better education system for black children. I think it's a noble and achievable goal. The Republican Party has tried for years to make school vouchers available to black children that choose to pursue their education and attend better schools. The Democrats, however, have fought this tooth and nail, and it can never get passed. So now we have BLM wanting to tear down and deface statues, monuments depicting events and people that are part of the history of this country. They want to rename military bases and military ships. How long before they will want to rename the state of Washington, tear down the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C.? I've already heard them speaking about Mount Rushmore and what a racist symbol that national monument is. What will all this do? It won't make slavery magically never have happened. It won't make perceived or real racism go away. It will just add to the fact that our younger generation, both black, white, brown, yellow, and pale, will never know about our past and with the mistakes that we made and the progress that has been achieved. But it will certainly add to them repeating history unnecessarily. It will also add to the animosity throughout this country by tearing down these monuments. If you want these statues removed, there's a process, a legal manner to do this. We have in this country the rule of law. Everything that we do is based on what the Constitution of the United States of America allows us to do. This is a great document. If you're not happy with something, you don't have to like the law. You have your representative represent you and get the law changed. Or better yet, get elected to office and change the law yourself. We cannot allow the mob to rule or allow the mob to dictate how we should operate this country. Law enforcement is there to fairly and impartially enforce the laws that are made by our legislators. Law enforcement doesn't care who you are if you rob a liquor store, if you're white, black, or just arrived from another planet. If you commit a crime such as robbing a liquor store, you're going to be arrested and put through the elite justice system. The media and the liberal politicians are very quick to agree with Black Lives Matter mob that they're being oppressed by law enforcement, or that they are being held down because of the statue of Ulysses S. Grant, who, by the way, led the Union Army against the Confederacy, defeating them, and ultimately with that defeat ending slavery. Just because a group is willing to cause devastation and destruction does not make that group right. It just amazes me that with everything going on in this country right now, BLM and Antifa seem to have it all narrowed down to being the fault of the police. Their failed experiment in Seattle with the Chaz has shown everyone that a neutral law enforcement body is needed to keep the idiots from acting like thugs. Don't worry about losing your business, the dream business that you opened with the second mortgage on your house. Oh, and don't worry about losing your house. It's all for the greater good. Don't worry about the looters and the people burning down your town. They are peaceful. I know they're peaceful because if you watch the news only talks about peaceful protests. They have convinced the citizens of the United States of America to social distance and to mask up. We have no funerals for our loved ones. Unless you're George Floyd, then you can have several funerals attended by masses, including the politicians. We've been made to forcibly homeschool our children while being taxed for public education. We stay in our homes. We stop going to church. Forfeited incomes and personal businesses. turned on our friends and neighbors by calling the police on the posted phone number to report social distancing violations. We have to hug our grandparents through plastic. The government, on the advice of the CDC or the World Health Organization, thoroughly has us on the verge of civil war with each other. Then after they've received our compliance and our willingness to follow these random and inconsistent orders, BLM and other terrorist organizations then negate them, these acts of compliance, because they want to protest, riot, kill even more people, loot businesses, many already on the brink of bankruptcy, deface national monuments, destroy our cities, defund or disband our police, and set everything on fire. Then through it all, they either have the balls or the ignorance to say it's because of the police injustice to their community. I'm going to end this monologue with a Facebook post that I copied from Ashley Quinton. I saw The Real America today in the men's room at Buc-ee's in Waller, Texas. As I walked in, I noticed an elderly white gentleman, probably in his 80s, really struggling coming out of a stall. It was obvious he was having trouble walking. A black gentleman, probably in his 60s, noticed as well and moved to his side to ask him if he needed any help. The white gentleman said, "I just need to wash my hands." The black man said, "Okay, no problem," and helped him towards the sink. He then asked, "Are you here with someone?" The elderly man said, "Yes, I'm here with my wife. She takes care of me. She's right outside." The black gentleman led him to the sink, arm in arm, social distancing be damned. He then kind of showed him how the soap and water and towels worked. I was watching this, not wanting to stare and pretending I was waiting for a stall. The black guy said, "I'll walk you out to your wife if you want." And the elderly man kind of nodded his head. It was obvious at this point that I was kind of watching, so I went into the stall, but I can only assume the kind-hearted soul walked this gentleman out to his wife. On my drive home, I can only think about how The Real America was right there in front of me. A black man who most likely grew up in the 1960s, where real systematic racism was a way of life, where if a Buc-ee's existed, then he would probably have to use a separate bathroom, and a white man who probably grew up in the 40s or 50s thinking that was okay, and that it was just that the way it was. There was no resentment from the black gentleman about the white man's generation, no white pride from the man who might have been expected to refuse help from a black man. It was only the spirit of one man wanting to help another, one wanting to help and the other glad to accept it. I thought about the contrast between what our media shows us daily with protests that lead to looting, burning buildings, injuring and killing police officers, trying to make us think that we are divided and that the races in this country hate each other. But that is theater. That is the narrative that gets the ratings. That is not The Real America. I saw The Real America firsthand, and it made me proud. And that, my friends, is that. My name is Mongo. I smoke cigars, drink whiskey, and know things. Mongo is out.
Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo.
Hey, Mongo.
Sign, please. Thank you.
Mongo like candy.
Mongo, man, cheers, brother. That was one hell of another Mongo log. Listen, if anybody wants to comment on the Mongo log, please give us a call back. Please give us a call, 214-556-6239. It's 214-556-6239. And, you know, Mongo, you brought up some great points. When we talk about racism, when we talk about the black and white issue, okay, there are a number of persons of color who really have had bad experiences with the police, all right? And what's made it worse is that now every time a police officer pulls over somebody of color, that person is scared. If they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, they are fear for their life. And it's because the media has portrayed this as that every cop is out to kill somebody of color, and that is just not the truth. Okay, there is no reason that somebody should be in fear for their life if they are pulled over for a traffic violation, right? But the media will make you feel like that's happening every single day, that everybody who gets pulled over is going to be assassinated. That's not how cops act. That's not. There are a few cops out there that are very bad. There are cops out there that are racist. Not going to disagree with that, but the majority of them aren't. A big part of the majority of them aren't, but the media is fueling this hatred towards police officers tenfold and making communities scared. We can bring this together. We can bring unity together. We just need to talk to each other like human beings and be humane to each other, speak to each other on levels that we can both understand. We will never understand. And, you know, when you brought up racism, how you felt it as a child, I mean, different levels on white and black. Different levels on white and black. You know, we grew up in generations of our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers, okay, who were racists, right? They grew up in the Archie Bunker era, right?
So, one of our listeners made a comment.
Just cut me off. Just
this
like my wife. No, I'm kidding. Tigger, I'm just kidding.
This needs an answer. It says, how can we speak about the experiences of other people? And we can't if we haven't experienced that. But one thing we can do, and one thing we have done, Mad Dog mentioned that in clubs there's very little color to say. Our club has everything in it, right? And we have people across. We have brothers who are black, some are older, some are younger. And they have experienced real, at least one of them has experienced real racism in his lifetime at the hands of white people, clearly. Right. But how we can speak on it, we're not speaking as if we experience it. We're speaking because we've sat down with him, David, and talked to our brothers. We've gotten to know them and hear their experiences. And we don't have the time here to go through the hours spent in some really heartfelt
they've shared their experiences.
They've shared their experiences, and at times it has been very tense because they're reliving these horrible memories of things that they experienced over a period of many years on many different occasions, and we have not experienced that like they have, but from talking to them and listening to what they have to say about their experiences. And then here's where the difference is. We love these guys as our brothers. They are our equals, and Mongo said it, and I second it, and I know that Sideshow would back it up. We would willingly sacrifice for these men that we proudly call our brothers, and we do not distinguish between black and white in that context. So I don't think it's absurd. I think it's a good point. It's good commentary on how we relate to them.
And like you said, 12, it's not that we could ever understand the true impact of racism. We couldn't. As white people, we can't. We could never experience what a black person feels when they are stopped by the police or when they are denied something. We can never say that. But what we can do is, like you said, we listen, we try to understand, right, and we try to change that.
But it's gotten so crazy. There's actually an author that wrote a book, and the media buys into this. If you say, "I'm not racist," that proves that you're even more racist. So basically, whatever word I say doesn't matter, because if I say it, that just means that I really am. And I'm like, okay. And as our,
because they're telling you what you are.
As our listener commented, how can you say what other people think? Well, how can this author say what I think? Because I say I'm not racist, I actually am racist. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard. But they wrote a book on this, and the media buys this. Right,
and I think everybody's just. And I'm not gonna. He's got his right. He's got a right to an opinion. He's got a right to everything. But I think people are buying into it.
David Pierce, just let me comment real quickly.
Yeah.
You're talking about the police killing black men. Okay, so that's happened 223 times this year. It's unfortunate. They've also killed white men, but thousands of black gang members have killed other black gang members, but they don't care about that. They only care about the 220 some odd that were killed by the police.
And only
the police have to defend themselves at times.
Well, you know what? With those shootings, and if you look at the Washington Post, if you look at the FBI statistics, because everything is documented. No shooting is not documented. Everything is documented to a point where every box is checked. All right. So in 2019. I think, and just quote me on. I don't quote me on this because I may be a little off on the numbers, but I'm almost dead on from what I read. 8 unarmed black men were killed by by police officers in 2019. 8. That's out of the 3 million interactions that police officers have with the public. Okay, a total number of 17 white men were killed. Unarmed white men were killed in 2019. Now, either way, good or bad shoot, that's up to the justice system. I don't know them all. Okay, but that, to tell you the truth, out of 3 million interactions, okay, those are very low numbers. Cops are not going out to assassinate the public. That's just an agenda the media wants to play. They are playing a race game, trying to get a race war together. They're trying to divide us so they have their own little... We are pawns in a chess game, played by whoever up in Washington, D.C., the Democrats, or this deep state. We are being played against each other for whatever political power or for whatever political agenda they are looking to do in November.
So... And I think we should make it clear. We should differentiate between. There was a comment made about Black Lives Matter by one of our listeners. We do not like Black Lives Matter, the terrorist organization, the one that called for killing cops and
burn it down.
As opposed, and I think that, and I wish that they would change it if they would say all Black Lives Matter, and if they would
what's the saying that the Black Lives Matter is
I can't quote
pigs
it,
in a blanket,
Farm like bacon.
Yeah,
farm like
bacon or something like that.
That's pretty anti-police as far as I'm concerned. I could be wrong, but that doesn't sound like we support the police and we're going to help you all out.
So I'll let you look at that. The stats are I don't know what they are. I'm just saying that. I got into it the other day with someone that said just basically what Mongo alluded to, that because I said, wait a minute, I believe that all men are created equal, that all lives matter. Oh, you're a racist because you don't understand. Well, I get that I have not experienced those things. I admit
right.
that wasn't, God didn't make me that way. God created me. The Bible says, I know you're listening. He knew me while I was still in my mother's womb. He created me as I am. So my experiences are mine. But I wish that these folks that march peacefully, that go out there and that aren't looting and vandalizing and stealing, would say that all Black Lives Matter. And if they would say that, and if they would protest against the tens of thousands of black babies that are aborted each year. It wasn't but just a couple of years ago that an abortion doctor in Philadelphia, they raided his place because he wasn't properly disposing of the aborted fetuses. He had thousands of them in there. Wasn't no protest. Nobody burned down his place. No one said, "Oh my God, you're killing black babies." But that's what he was doing. And they never, ever, Chicago, Detroit, all this black on black crime. They don't protest it. Why aren't they protesting that?
Recently, just last week, we lost 3 innocent children. 3 innocent children to gang violence out on the street. One of the kids was sitting at home and a bullet came through her window. There were no protests. There is no justice for those kids. There is no voice. Their parents are mourning their children. There's nobody rioting. There's nobody standing up for those kids. New York's the same way. Here in Dallas, we had 3 kids last year murdered. One sitting in a bus stop waiting for school. One at a car wash working. Killed by gang violence. Who's stepping up? Who's their voice? Who's their voice? Nobody rioted. Nobody burned down. Nobody looted. Nobody cared. Nobody gave a shit about those young lives. They only give a shit about their lives when it's a political agenda for when they see a white cop kill a black man. And in a George Floyd case, yes, that was murder.
It was.
Nobody's disagreeing that.
Agreed.
But this is, if you can't see this for what it is, then you're ignorant.
And David made a comment that I agree, and I'm glad, David, trust me, I'm glad, if you want to call in, we'll gladly give you airtime. We won't beat you up, I promise you.
Give a call, man. This is what it's all about.
214-556-6239. We take all sides of it, and we want, for me personally, and with my brothers in the club, we've sat down and had these conversations, and again, we've gotten past the things that made us different, because there are so many things that we actually agree on and are alike. But one thing you said, BLM, isn't controlled by blacks. I actually do believe that's true.
I believe that too.
I believe it's controlled by a bunch of fat-ass white people sitting up in Washington who have a very liberal agenda, and for
not
them,
necessarily the ones in Washington.
well, it might not just be in Washington,
outside
but
this country. Also.
Yeah,
Well,
I do agree with that.
The Democrats only care about the black communities during the election year. Throughout the year, through the other 3 years, they don't do shit for the communities. If they did, Chicago wouldn't be in the way it is. Detroit wouldn't be the way it is. California wouldn't be the way it is.
Baltimore.
If they really Baltimore wouldn't be the way it is. If they really cared about their communities, they'd be out there fighting for their communities every single day of the year, not just on election.
David, you're making some good points, and it's hard to respond to them all. Again, if you'd like to call in, 214-556-6239. We chose to do this today specifically because we want to try to make a difference in our community. We want to try to make it better. We don't know all the answers, and some of the points that you make are very valid. Some of the ones that we make are very valid. We've all been out on the streets and seen it firsthand. If you ran into us on the street back in the day, you might say we're racist cops. You might say we're totally objective and race neutral. I don't know what your opinion would be. My opinion, I would hope that you would say they were professional. They did their job in a professional, courteous manner. Judgment is in the eye of the beholder. I don't know how that saying exactly goes.
The only way we're going to get past any of this is if we could have a two-way conversation.
Right.
And nobody's got the right answer. Nobody, but we're not going to push our agenda. They're not going to push their agenda. We got to meet in the middle and come to a compromise. We got to stop demanding. We got to be able to fix things that are broken.
Do you remember when we had the show on race relations and the one we did at the V-Rock?
Yep.
So we talked about some of these things, some of these same subjects during that time. And since we talked about it live then, I feel okay mentioning it. But so there, David, and he said he's going to call in, so be ready.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Our members that are black that have experienced, and one of them, he's a little older Vietnam veteran, and he grew up in the South. He experienced a lot of stuff, and when he and I met, he thought I was a redneck from the South, which is true. I am a redneck from the South, and he had some preconceived notions about me, and he was a President Obama supporter, still is a President Obama supporter, and so I had some preconceived notions about him. But we had to sit down over a period of time and hash out these things and listen to one another, and then come to find out we have far more things in common. He's pro-life. He's pro-gun and pro-Second Amendment. His perspectives and his vision of things, because of what he's experienced, is just different. But we listened to one another.
And you understand each other.
And we showed one another love and respect. Even though we don't agree politically, we're never going to agree politically.
Well, not everybody's going to agree,
exactly.
man. Not everybody's going to... But not everybody's going to agree on the same topics. Not everybody's going to agree on the Second Amendment.
Exactly. But you know what? Even though we don't agree politically, we're as far apart as we can ever be on the other substantive issues of life, about treating one another with respect, about listening, about loving one another, about helping people. We're on the same page, and that's what makes us brothers. That's what makes us love one another. And I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that if he were called upon today to have your back, my back, or Mongo's back, that he would be right there. And not only him, but the other people of color, and we have them all in our club. They would be there, because you get past that stuff by listening to one another and showing one another respect. And that's an element that seems to me to be missing in this larger discussion. There's not a lot of listening, not a lot of respect going on. There's just a lot of John.
Well, with that, one thing and I'm sure everybody can agree on, is we are all human beings. Nobody is perfect, all right? And we don't want to see any more killings. We don't want to see anybody else lose their life senselessly to anything, to gang violence, to a corrupt cop. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see anybody lose their life. We want to see everybody prosper. We want to see everybody to walk out in the street and feel safe, go to work, make money for their families, put food on their table. That's it.
And like you said,
and get through life. We are on this roller coaster ride of life one time.
Yeah.
We don't get another ticket.
We're people, and we're not perfect. And unfortunately, just because of sheer numbers, mistakes are going to be made.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, through those mistakes, people will die. That just can't be avoided. Dude, it happens on the street with traffic accidents. It happens all the time. People they make mistakes. That's not to justify the mistakes. I'm just saying mistakes are always going to be made. Now, we try to minimize those mistakes. We try to mitigate those mistakes, but they're still going to happen. So, yeah, all right. What would you say, Sideshow? Eight were,
I'm just looking at. There were like 8 to 10,
yeah,
and then it was.
I looked it up before.
I don't remember. But one thing I got to do is we have to take a quick break before. If Dave wants to call in, that's great. We'll get him on the break. But we got to take a quick break for Fishbowl Network sponsors.
Hey, this is John
and Sam
of the Mad Radio Show, broadcasting live each week on Wednesday starting at 6 p.m. from FBRN Studios at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas.
Log on as we heal our heroes battling post-traumatic stress in our first responder communities. So be sure to catch us on Mad Radio each week on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
on FishbowlRadioNetwork.com. Jump in. When it's time to advertise your company, business, product, service, think FishbowlRadio.com. The largest personality-driven internet radio network in the world, operating 24/7 with over 100 diverse shows, music, talk, news, inspiration, sports, entertainment, 750,000 listeners a month and growing, local, national, global. Now's the time to take advantage of the growth potential of internet radio advertising with FishbowlRadio.com. Call 817-633-4880 and jump in.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Fishbowl Radio Network. FBRN.US. Jump in.
He's trustworthy. Okay. You can work with him.
This is Jay Dobbins, and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into these guys and make yourself better.
All right, we are back from commercial break, and man, that was one of probably the best monologues we've had in a long time. We're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of good responses. David, we're still waiting on your call. We'd be more than happy to speak to you and iron out these differences. That's what this is all about. You know, we're not here to push our political views. We're not here to push our political agendas. You know, we're just trying to say that, you know, we are trying to solve an issue with law enforcement in the community.
It's all about mutual respect. I mean, you know, I was raised. I mean, you got pulled over by a cop. It was yes sir, no sir. Here's my driver's license, sir, and you did what the man asked. He's in an uncertain situation. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know what kind of attitude you might have towards him, and so he's cautious. And so if you can put him at ease, no matter what color you are, what color he is, put him at ease and say yes sir and do what he asks. That being the case, You will never have an issue with an officer go beyond something that's unreasonable if you show him respect. That's all he wants to do is if you show him respect, he's going to give it right back to you. And that will cut down on 99.9% of these issues that this has happened. And usually the issues come up because of
Mad Dog, you've been riding a bike all your life, right?
40-something years.
40-something years. So, and I'm sure you didn't come in here with a cut, but I'm sure you've wore a cut at times.
I've got
cuts. Yeah, and when you got pulled over, because perception from law enforcement towards the biker community, all right, could be almost like the perception that people of color feel when they get pulled over. You know, so when a cop's walking up to you, he doesn't know who you are. He's looking at your cut. He's looking at you in a different light already just because of what you're wearing.
Right, exactly. So
have you ever been pulled over in your cut and go, damn, man, this is going to turn out bad? Or, I mean,
I've never felt that. I've been pulled over in my cut, but it's always just been a respectful yes, sir. You know, I don't care. I mean, I'm 61 years old. He might be 29, but it's yes, sir, because he deserves it. He's got that
and then
bag.
once you said that, once you showed that initial respect, didn't you notice every time that the police officer, his guard goes down a little bit or his demeanor lessens, the threat is gone, he looks at you like, okay, there's a respect thing going. And I mean, not that his guard is totally down, but there's no aggressiveness there. You kind of de-escalate that whole car stop or bike stop, and you're like, all right, you know what, I'll just get my ticket, and if I want to fight it, I'll fight it in court.
I don't want to diminish the importance of this conversation, but when you take the genre of comedy, there's truth to comedy in real life.
Yes.
Chris Rock has done that video on how not to be beat by the police during a traffic stop. And he does the stereotypes of how you get yourself in trouble and then how not you get yourself in trouble. Again, not to diminish the seriousness of the subject, but if you watch Chris Rock, okay, the black comedian, he's making fun of how not to get beat by the police during a traffic stop. And he's absolutely correct. I mean, he shows how to do it the right way, how to do it the wrong way.
And we have, all three of us have firsthand experience working with gangs of all colors. And there's a good video. If you remember, some months back, we had some individuals from a club. They were white, but they look like the worst kind of bikers at times. And they were in Garland. You can YouTube this. They were wearing their cuts. They weren't 1% cuts at all. And we know these people. I mean, we know them. And they were spotted by the Garland gang unit, and they proceeded to get profiled as 1%ers. That's what they look like, and that's what the police officers that pulled them over saw. And they were videotaping each other. The cops had their cameras on, and the bad guys, the bikers were videotaping them back. And you can see throughout that the law enforcement kept pressing. They were doing their job. That's their job, to get to know who potential folks are. Now, they were very professional, but they pushed as far as they could possibly push to do their job. And they profiled those two white guys wearing cuts as being members of a biker gang, a 1% biker gang. And these are, two of the nicest guys that you would ever meet. They just look like bikers.
Right.
So they profiled them by the way that they looked. And that's, people got to know, that's what cops do. You see somebody, you got to make a judgment in just a few quick seconds. You look at the car, you look at the circumstances that they're in, 2 o'clock in the morning versus 2 o'clock in the afternoon, quiet neighbor. You have all these factors that go into it. And you're making that judgment. You're profiling that particular situation right there. And that stuff happens, and it's just a fact of life. It always has happened, and it probably always will. So I'm just saying that that whole stereotype goes both ways. Cops look for bad guys.
It definitely does. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I was on a job, I worked in an all-black community, right? East New York, Brooklyn. Worked in an all-black community. High crime, high drug traffic, right? If I saw a car full of white kids pulling into that community, you're damn right, I profiled them and I pulled them over. Because why were they in that community? They were there for two reasons. To get drugs.
Buy drugs.
Or to cause problems. Yeah. That's why they were there. right? So, yeah, we profiled white people all the time. Anytime a white person came into that black community, we wanted to know, why are you here? Because there is no reason for you to be here, especially on a drug corner, right? You see that. You see Jersey plates. We profiled plates. Why are you here from Jersey? We want to know. This is a high drug area. Possibility is you're buying drugs. Now, if you could turn around to me and say, hey, I'm going over to this address. I'm going to see my aunt. Okay, case closed. You can give me an address and give me a place where you're going. That's fine.
I want to respond to BA.
Okay.
You don't have to act in any way besides just act like a person. Because a police officer stops you doesn't mean he has animosity towards you. He's investigating a violation. He should be respectful to you. You should be respectful back to him. You shouldn't have to kiss each other's butts. He's doing his job. Let him do his job. You don't have to. I'm not saying you do, but the violator or potential violator doesn't have to give him a ration of crap either. If the violator were just to give his license, registration, and insurance, ask, what was the problem, officer? The officer tell him, you ran a red light, you ran a stop sign, you're speeding, whatever. You may or may not get a ticket. And just because you get a ticket doesn't mean that officer doesn't respect you. He's just writing a ticket. He's
respect goes both ways.
It does.
No doubt.
It absolutely goes both ways.
No doubt.
But because there's a contact being made doesn't mean there's any lack of respect on the part of the police officer. Police officers get calls, they respond to calls. Police officers interact within the community, they interact within the community. They are oftentimes seen as being the enemy, even though they're not necessarily the enemy. They're just there enforcing the laws that are on the books.
And I'm going to just take a guess here, though. I'm guessing that BA probably hasn't been pulled over recently. You know, he doesn't strike me as being a guy that exceeds the speed limit or anything. But if you go back in his history, and I'm just guessing culturally to the 60s in the South. Man. Now that I'm sure that all his at least the root of his perceptions are probably based on that. And let's be honest, in the South.
And there was probably
I'm sure he's got a lot of
pulled him over and talked down to him.
Exactly.
I have no doubt about that.
And probably
that was then. Things have changed.
Yes. Well, and they probably use some pejoratives, or I think did I get it right, pejoratives, that they shouldn't use. And when we came in, late 70s, early 80s, the professionalism of law enforcement was really stressed to you about your appearance, the way that you talk to people, about being neutral, talking to everybody the same in a the Joe Friday voice,
right?
Just the facts, ma'am. Yeah.
Well, it also came like that in the 90s, and you know what? The police officers today aren't the same police officers in the 50s and the 60s, by no means.
Right. Well, I'm guessing.
See, Dog, we admit that we don't know his early experiences, and things were probably a lot different because of where he was and the time. You are absolutely correct. We weren't there. We can only speak to what we know from when we knew it.
Right. Exactly. And Sea-Dog says we've never ridden with BA. So
we could take this another step further. When you talk about profiling and you talk about the way people are treated, all right, not even on a white and black thing. Okay, let's talk about a north and south thing. Okay, New York plates. Back in the day, back in the 80s, if I drove down to Florida with my New York plates and I got pulled over on 95, man, those Georgia cops would rip me a new asshole. They rip me out of the car, rip everything out of my car to see what I'm traveling down 95 with. You're from New York. You were profiled just because you had New York plates, and vice versa. New York would profile Southern plates.
Yeah.
So there is a.
I took a narcotics intervention course with my team at the border in San Diego. On the way home, I was driving with my partner, and as we went through the San Onofre checkpoint, I said, just hang on. I said, I'm going to try to do a few things that the guy just said they look for, and I did. That border guy, the Border Patrol guy was just waving cars through one after another like he was having a boring day until we got there. He stepped out in front of my car, threw his hand out, and said, stop. He profiled me. White dude, driving a regular sedan, but I was doing things that they told me they look for, that these drug dealers do on a constant basis, unconsciously. And I badged him. He said, "Where you guys coming from?" I said, "Hey, we just took a class with you guys down at the border." I said, "I didn't think this stuff really worked." He goes, "Yeah, get out of here," because he knew I was playing. But they actually do profile. They look for things, and that's how they make all these drug
Well, that's how you find crime.
Yeah, a good cop is going to do that.
Right. That's how you stop crime from happening.
That's what training.
It's the training. It's nothing. It's nothing racially biased, because it's neighborhoods. It's like you said, 12. It's situations. It's time of day. I used to sit at the end of the on the bottom of the L, right, sitting in the car, in an unmarked car, and I'd watch people come down the stairs, right, because I knew by the way you walk down the stairs if you were carrying a gun, right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter if you were white and black. I'm profiling your walk. I'm profiling the way you come down those stairs, because now I see you hit that bottom step. I know what you're grabbing. I know you got a gun on you.
That's all training. So what are you going to do when they start cutting your budgets back? Or everybody's crying about, we need more training. We need to train the cops better.
There is going to be no more.
You cut that, all that goes away, and that's what they need more of is training, which costs money.
And you bring up, Mad Dog, you bring up a great point. By defunding the police department, you're cutting back on that training. You're going to have cops out there, next generation cops out there that aren't trained to the best of their ability, that will not know these things, will not know how to de-escalate, will not know how to speak to somebody. We're going to see a rise in interactions that are going to turn bad because the training was defunded.
What we're going to see also, is a federal police force. I think they're trying to do this to get rid of our city, municipality police force and go to a federal police force.
That's something that you do not want to see.
Do not want that.
That's something you do not want.
The problem with training, too, Sideshow, is training is very
not standard.
It's very sterile. It's very sanitized. It's not the training. You take the training with you, and then you go out and you apply it. It's the experience that's how you build your knowledge of the streets, your knowledge of people. It's not because I took a class on how to de-escalate. I took a class on how to de-escalate, and I've done it 25 times since then. I've had to adjust.
Right.
It's the actual hands-on experience. You can give them all the training they want. That's not going to do it. You have to actually apply it.
But see, I agree. But here's another thing, and I'm going to take that another step forward with training of our police officers. Okay? Each academy class is different. Each training, state to state, is different. There should be a national standard of training. Because, like you said last week, 12, you and Mongo, when you guys were in the academy, you guys got taught the chokehold, right? That was a technique they taught you in the academy. New York, they never taught us a chokehold. It was banned. They never taught us a chokehold. So, each law enforcement state trains their officers a little bit differently, allows a little bit more leeway. I mean, New York City, when I went to the academy, they didn't even have boxing. They took out boxing.
Well, all of us have thousands and thousands of hours of training. And
right. There should be a national training standard.
I agree. There should be cops should be trained to the same level throughout, except for maybe criminal law, which varies from state to state.
Right.
But what these folks that want to affect change in their law enforcement should be doing, instead of saying defund the police, defund these specialized units, which we all know what's going to happen when they do that, they should be saying, we want our police to have more training. Make more training. The training of physical combat, of close quarter combat, hand-to-hand combat, whatever the different departments call. They should, you see these guys, and you saw it in that Atlanta deal. You see them trying to grab the arm and get an arm lock. You spend maybe 8 hours. Some departments have only 8-hour minimums for a year. That's not going to cut it. When you get in a fight with a convict, which that guy was, by the way, who had got released from prison because of COVID, when you get into that situation with a methed up convict who wants to whoop your ass, you are in a fight for your life. We've been there. I know you've been there as well. And you're not playing patty cake with that dude. You have to be able to go for at least a few minutes until you get your back up there. And so they should be crying, we need more police training for these issues where these confrontations are taking place. Most of them are taking place on the street, on a street corner, in a car, or at a domestic. That's where you're finding. So you should be. We know this, and we're not even on the street anymore.
And think about this too. With those two cops in Atlanta, they were doing lots of trying to grab the wrist, trying to grab the elbow, trying to. A lot of those controls, in training when they present the elbow or the wrist to you, all that stuff works just fine.
Yeah, because they submit.
In a fight, and especially a fight, and in this guy's case, he was fighting for his life because he didn't want to go back to jail. He's not going to present that elbow or that wrist. So what's going to look worse on tape? The police officer shooting him that we all saw, or if it was me, I'm sorry, I'm hitting the guy in the head. I'm going to knock him out, but I'm going to cuff him up. And it's going to look nasty on tape. Oh, that officer hit that guy. Why'd he hit him? Well, I didn't
want to shoot him.
I used the force necessary to overcome the resistance. I didn't want to shoot him.
Right.
So, complain about you're going to complain about whatever because I'm white. Even if that guy was white, it doesn't matter. It's not going to look pretty, but the fight's going to be over.
But here's another thing. When we talk about national levels of training for our police officers, you got to also look at physical fitness as well, because you know as well as I do that after 5 years of donut eating and all that other stuff, right, we get out of shape, we get complacent, there's no mandate on physical agility, there's no mandate on weight, there's no mandate on keeping yourself healthy to perform the job tasks in hand. So when you see the guys come out of the academy, they're in good shape, right? But 5 years later, they 3 uniforms different, and they can't fight, they can't run, they can't do anything. So they resort to an upper level of force.
So, some departments in California now are that's part of the hiring process. Is you have to maintain physical ability, and every year you have to test again. And if you don't pass the test, you get so much time to remediate, or you're out. The problem is that's for the guys coming in. For the guys that are already there, they've filed lawsuits. They've got protection under the law. Sorry, we can stay fat, we can stay lazy. You can't make that apply to us. So we've got a whole generation of cops that need to actually be moved out before some of these physical fitness mandates can be enforced all the time. But you're absolutely right. They have to stay in shape.
I got one more for you. What do you think the influence of police unions are on this situation? I think it's significant because how many times, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, we know officers that this affected, where an officer shows tendencies during his career. They said Chauvin had 19 complaints. I don't know if they were founded or not. I don't know if Minnesota or Minneapolis has a police union. But an officer, the guys on the street know it. The guys in the locker room know, that guy, he gets a complaint pretty regular, and it goes and goes and goes. So by the time he's in 3 to 5 years, you got a pretty good idea what that guy is. And you could tell by looking at his paper. But if you go to fire that guy, how many times does a union step up and step in and prevent that guy from being fired or get him his job back, and then he goes on to do something even worse down the road?
And that's some of the legislation that they're trying to get passed if they can ever come to agreement. The problem is you have to know, are those 19 complaints substantiated?
True.
Or did we have, that guy's a good cop. Let's stiffen a call every 6 months, something this guy did. Because just getting calls doesn't make it true.
Because
you're right about that. But I'm talking about the ones that are justified.
You can look at the complaints, and if you see 19 excessive force complaints, right? Those are flags, right? If you see 3 excessive force complaints within a year, those are flags. You'll get an excessive force complaint. You'll get a he cursed me out complaint. He didn't do his job complaint. He didn't do this. He arrested me for some. You're going to have a variety of different complaints you're going to get. But if you're getting the same complaints over and over, there's got to be something behind there. Either they're substantiated or unsubstantiated. You receive 3 excessive force complaints within a 2-year period. That's a flag. That's a flag. That's pull that cop in and say, hey, what's going on? Why are you getting these complaints? Right? Monitor him. Maybe he is a problem.
So, but we haven't answered the question. Do you think that the union, that police unions, interfere in that process of getting rid of good cop or bad cops rather, because they're in the union? They're a union member.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say I would. Yeah, because the union is there to protect its membership. That's what. But I don't agree with it. I don't agree that a union should be protecting bad members. And I think now we are going to see a big change in that because of all this that's going on. I think we're going to see a big change in how unions move forward with substantiated and unsubstantiated complaints against police officers.
Everybody, go ahead. Sorry,
it'll be interesting to see if the unions, because they'll provide legal, they'll provide the attorney for the officer.
Well, it depends.
It's going to be interesting to see. Well, at least our union did. It'll be interesting to see it going forward how that works.
You know, if the officer was blatantly excessive, the unions won't provide a lawyer. I know New York will not provide a lawyer if the complaint is substantiated and that officer was in the wrong. The union's not going to back him up.
So you're talking about he's been criminally convicted?
No. If it say it was a bad shoot, say it was.
I'm just thinking. I'm not thinking about shooting. I'm thinking about he hit me. Maybe.
Well, on something like that, it would have to go through. It would go through the process to find out if it was justified. But
something like what you're talking about, I agree. But I thought you were talking about something way down.
What happened in Minneapolis? The police unions would never back up him on that.
And here's, I don't know, because I've read so much on this, and I've read that actually is in their use of force policy, the knee to the neck. I've never read the policy myself, but I've talked to people that say they have personally read it, and they say it's in there. That's why I think this is going to be a very interesting thing going to trial, because if that's in there, I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to look good no matter what the outcome is.
You know, and I discussed this with Sam a couple of times. You know, about putting your knee on someone's back or someone's neck. Okay, I've taken a lot of perps down. Okay, and once they're cuffed. They're not fighting no more.
Oh, dude,
okay?
you're preaching to the crier.
Right.
I agree with you.
You know what? I'm not leaving them on the ground on their stomach. I'm picking them up and I'm putting them back in the car.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know what? And I don't have to use my knee or my body weight to hold someone who's already cuffed down. I can place my hand on his shoulder and keep him from moving around.
We'd hobble some people, but we'd make sure they were on their side once they were hobbled. Because if you leave them chest down, they're going to die.
Right. You'd never do that. So I mean, that may be in chokeholds or putting your knee on someone's neck may be in the rules, but you know what? There's that gray area. You gotta have common sense.
I think,
especially when someone's begging for their life and says, "I can't breathe."
No. Hey, I agree with you. I'm just saying that if that is in their policy.
Yeah, an attorney's
it's not as cut and dry as what we think,
right?
Because of what we saw.
I agree, and it's going to be an attorney battle.
I think all police officers today would do well to remember their oath and to remember that they are out there to enforce the laws as they are written, regardless of what their opinion is about them or not. They should use good common sense, use good judgment to the best of their ability.
And 90% do.
And more than 90% do that. And then to remember they need to be objective as well to get the full story, not just collect evidence or look at facts that tend to indicate somebody's guilt, but also their innocence, and be prepared to say, nope, I'm not arresting him because he's not guilty. There's not probable cause to arrest him, and look at it that way. And I think they would be in a lot better position, have a lot less problems if they would just remember those rules. And I say that as somebody that's been in and around it my whole life and spent 40 years personally in and around it. Remember your oath. Remember to treat people with respect, irrespective of color. And if you gotta take it to the mat, take it to the mat. Do what you have to do to go home at night.
Well, if you look at a majority of the taped interactions between police, and I'm going to say taped interactions at car stops, because the other interactions, you never see the first 30 seconds of the first 15 seconds of the beginning interaction. But I'm going to go by car stops where you see every time. You never see a cop on a regular car stop pull up and start screaming at somebody or start verbally abusing them. You know, it's usually brought to that by the driver. It's usually escalated by the driver. Usually you see the cop walk up to the car, explain what they did, license and registration, and he wants to get out of the roadway, right? It's escalated by the driver on a majority of the videos that you can Google for yourself and see. And you look at that escalation process, and you can see that, you know what? The cop initially showed respect. And then there's a time that you have to say, hey, there is no more respect because you're not showing it back.
Well, that happened in Atlanta. We've seen that video multiple times. Those cops, right up to the time they went to handcuff him,
yep,
they were polite, respectful. They did everything to that point, best I could tell, by the book.
Yep.
They were there 40 minutes, and there wasn't one bit of problem until they went to put the cuffs on.
And he fought.
And he fought. So a lot of times people need to remember, too, when you make stupid decisions and they have stupid consequences every single time, you make that call, hey, I'm going to fight this cop, there's a good chance it's going to turn out badly for you.
Every action is going to have a reaction.
A reaction. So the moral of the story is be respectful. Answer the request, sir, may I see your driver's license and registration? I pulled you over because you were speeding. I'm going to give you a ticket. Yes, sir.
Nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody
wants it, and then let it go at that. And everybody's so, they have so much animosity, and this especially this latest generation, they're all puffed up with themselves. I've seen all these videos of dancing around the cops. Like, you can tell when someone's like amped up to fight, they're getting ready. They're like that all the time.
Where does that put that cop?
In danger.
What I'm afraid of happening in Atlanta is this. They're going to have some prosecutorial overreach. They're going to charge those cops with outrageous charges, and they're going to get off. And then what's going to happen?
Then it's going to be burning down the city again.
It's going to be burned down the city. And they were just doing their job as they were taught to do in that instance. And it's going to be a big old mess.
Well, these politicians set a precedent that if it does not go your way, if the judicial system does not swing the pendulum in the way of the majority mob, then it's okay to burn, riot, loot, and cause destruction in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, Mad Dog, I told my wife the same exact thing. I said, I hope they didn't overcharge these guys knowing that they were going to get off. Because politically they have to charge them because they're up for re-election, the DA was. So he has to do something to make the people happy. But he'll overcharge them and say, hey, the jury did it. Look at those 12 people. They're the dummies. Burn the town. I totally agree with you. I think it's going to happen.
So, David, I see you're back on here. I don't know what's wrong with the phones there. Definitely would love to hear from you. Maybe next week when we come back. The invitation is open for you to call in anytime. We would like to hear from you and your experiences. Because I'll tell you what, you don't know us, we don't know you. But I can tell you this emphatically, that people that do know us, every one of us sitting here, we want to make a difference. We care about the profession of law enforcement. We've devoted our lives to it. We've all experienced physical injury in the course of duty. We've all saved lives. We served, and I don't say that to brag, but we've served our communities honorably. All of us have gotten complaints. None of us ever got fired for getting a complaint. It was never a founded kind of thing. We care about that profession, and we care about what's going on right now, and we want to make a difference. We want to back the blue. But just the same, I promise you, if our brother B.A. Was victim of a rogue cop today, I think we'd all three be in line to speak up in his defense, and if we were there, we certainly wouldn't tolerate it. I can absolutely assure you of that. And so you brought up some valid points today. Your comment that you just put there about overcharge, very true. I will agree with that one.
But I kind of sense anger, David. And listen, that whole area down there it's a democratically run area. The DA himself, the one that filed the charges, is a black man. Not that should have anything to do with the charges he filed, but he's up for re-election. I personally think he overcharged those guys and I don't think it's going to turn out well. That was my first comment. I think that guy should do a better job and say, you know what, let's charge him with this, or let's charge this guy with this and this guy with nothing. But I'm not down there, and I'm not making those calls, but that's certainly not the call of the police, and it's not the police's fault they're being overcharged. That's the DA who's up for re-election. That guy needs to be booted out of office.
And I would remind you that just 2 weeks prior to that incident, the same DA and the same police department fired 6 black officers for assault. A couple of them were charged with assault with a deadly weapon because they used a taser on some quote-unquote college students that said they just inadvertently got caught up in the rioting,
the narrative.
protesting. Yeah, change the narrative. Those black officers got fired and charged with a felony, lost their jobs, and then 2 weeks later.
So it's a deadly weapon. It's a deadly weapon 1 week, and then 2 weeks later, it's not a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we're going to continue this conversation next week as well. So, David, please call in next week.
Or come into the studio.
Or come to the studio. We'd love to have you come on in. Just shoot us an email. We'll get you and come in the studio. And we'll talk, man. We want to hear. Everybody's got a viewpoint, and everybody has the right to speak their opinion. And we are here to listen. We're not here to judge. We're here to listen, share our points of view with you, and hopefully we come to an agreement. If we can't, hey, that's fine too, man. We can agree to disagree, but you know what? I guarantee you we walk out of here shaking hands and patting each other on the back, because that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So
he might have to listen and watch the show a couple times though to get it all done. So
that's fine. You come in anytime. Come in anytime. All right, we got to wrap it up. I want to thank Mad Dog Mike for being here, and before we close out, Mongo, got anything?
No, unfortunately. Well, I guess I do. Unfortunately, our August 1st event for the veterans was canceled due to this
postponed.
I'm sorry, not canceled, postponed due to this latest COVID thing. So August 1st is open for whatever guys you want to do. Because don't come to our event because we won't have one.
12.
I guess we're having an impromptu gathering. We're inviting lots of people to come to the show
yes, sir.
Next week, the 8th. Come on out. Show that you back the blue. And it could be very interesting. Could be a fun time.
Yes. And Mad Dog, you got any words for our listeners?
Well, just to keep July 8th.
Yes.
Is it July? June, July, August. August 8th.
August 8th.
It's August 8th in mind. And show up at your county courthouse on your ride at noontime and be prepared to back the blue. All
right, man. Once again, another wonderful episode of the 99% Radio Network. We will always back our Blue Brothers if they are in the right, and we will always call them out if they are in the wrong. We will never back a bad officer. We will always back the good officers. We will stop that ripple effect from happening through our officers across the country, and we will help any first responder out there in need. So until next week, join us on the 99% Radio Network here at Fishbowl Radio, Globe Life Park. And next week, like I said, we're going to have our Back the Blue, our Back the Blue get together, and we will be interviewing everybody in the parking lot B. All right. Until then, peace, love, and stay well.
Hey, I'm Sideshow, a retired New York City detective. And I'm 12, retired police officer originally from Santa Paula, California. And this is the